And we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Alien Spaceship stream. You could be watching from anywhere around the country or the world, and I really appreciate every single one of you. Coming to you from the Spaceship Studios from a galaxy far, far away. Alright, so the trials have ended for the day, and now we'll be doing the live stream. So I'll be switching over to the other screen. Okay, let's go here. Put this up this way. Alright, hello, it is I, Alien Spaceship. Today was an interesting Friday for the trial watchers. We were having a an interesting day today in the trial watching. It was about the beheading murder trial. And in the beheading murder trial, we had various witnesses earlier in the day when it started. They had I believe, the parents of the victim. They were Japanese, so there was a language barrier. And hello, Abs. Good evening to you. Let's see. Abs says, just want to wish you a good stream. It took night meds due to Buddy Boy being released yesterday, and I have to train early tomorrow. So good luck. Love you. Always, Alien. You're the best. I love you too, Abs. And that is unfortunate news, and I'm glad that you are still doing the training, stuff like that. So thank you for your kind words, and good night to you. All right. Now, yeah, so we have not had a wild trial like this, I call it, in a long time. In my opinion, in the moment, I still think the defendant is guilty. Nothing has convinced me otherwise at the moment. But thus far, that's what it seems to be. It seems to be completely guilty. I don't completely understand where all of the defense has said they don't have a lot to work with. I think that they're doing what they can do, what they have, and they almost got to tell us a parole. So they're good attorneys. Sometimes they just don't have a lot to work with because sometimes a crime has gone so far and it's so bad they can't accurately get something right because not right. The right answer is that they're guilty, but they can't accurately get them off the hook or at least completely because of the crimes they committed. Now, not an expert. I'm sure there's somebody out there that probably can pull it off, but they usually, they're guilty to that extent. Without a lot of convincing evidence, they would be convicted. I mean, I guess hypothetically, if they're innocent and there just wasn't enough to really prove their innocence, unfortunately, that could be a problem as well if they're really innocent. So, yeah, I would say there is a detective. There is some forensics talking about the skulls. It was like science class when they got the skull, like, and they put it on the table, and they were starting to make commentary on the skull itself, and talking about when his graphic warning for everybody when his head was severed. They were talking about that. It was quite a spooky situation because people in the chat were kind of cringing a little bit, but it was information that we need to hear for the trial. Had a very attractive detective on the stand. I think her name was Andrea. They said some people thought the testimony was kind of hard to follow because I would say the audio sometimes isn't completely perfect. And when you have the audio not being perfect, it sometimes be hard to pick up on it. But yeah, the defendant was groomed by Baker, so she's not normal. And she basically repeated the same thing that happened to her. It's like with a lot of the different stuff that she did. It was, for instance, she's marrying the son of the father that she was with, and it's similar to what happened to her when her mom was married to Baker, and then he molested her, and then Baker went and married her later. It's really a wild story that could be in a movie, really. So that doesn't really help the situation. She seems pretty insane and frantic. She could argue insanity. I wonder if that could possibly work. And a lot of people will plead insanity. It's kind of like the boy that cried wolf. People will plead insanity all the time, but it actually doesn't happen. And most of the time, they're convicted for what they did. But insanity is a plea, and maybe in this situation, it could have worked. Like, I would say coming to conclusions is something they probably had to do, but it's difficult to prove. Blaming someone else for another person's crime, especially they didn't do it, I think is, although it's what they're doing to defend their client, it's not the most accurate thing people could do with that or doing law, because unless it's actually true and they could prove it, there's a situation where, say A did it to B, right? A is responsible. You have to be absolutely certain and have the evidence, even if they didn't do it, you have to have the evidence to prove that they did it, quotations. And if there's something that doesn't go completely with that, then it doesn't mean it doesn't quite work out the way you would intend it to work out. Because with the security footage, like we talked about yesterday and the day before, kind of like a similar thing is that they can't really prove that the son did it. It doesn't seem like he did it. So it seems like all the cards are falling. Now, if they could say some other person did it, some unknown person, which is a straw man argument, of course, I don't know if that would work better or worse, because pointing it on a specific person may not be the best method when, you can hypothetically argue some other person could have, broke in there or did something to have done that. And we know now that the person is they're Japanese, so they were more stoic about learning about the death of their son. But people could be Japanese and emotional. It just depends how a person reacts. It will, because there is a lot of meditation and it's called Zen, and just certain people may act a certain way where they're not emotional. They're just have been trained to control it a certain way. But I don't really know. I said everyone's different. It is a tragedy for the parents for have to see their son like that. There is a debate about, is it true? The truth is this. It's either they did it, that she did it or someone else did it, and the truth will set you free. And I think when she saw that the plea deal was not going to go in her favor and she was going to be locked up for 15 years, she wanted a second chance, but now she'll be locked up for life, so it's even a worse situation. So there could always been an appeal at some point, but I don't know. Like, let's see, what occurs. And, oh, hello there, Moki. I know it's a good afternoon to you. That's what it is where you are. Where I am, the sun is going away. The sun is left my region, and it's over where you are. Yeah, and not quite a day today. It was quite a day. I think it was. I still think it's guilty. The verdict so far, and I'm being open about it not being guilty. I don't mind seeing another opinion about it. I just don't see how the son did it. I don't see how, unless there's a third person that isn't being mentioned, like I was mentioning before, that did it, that we don't know of. Like, there could be some phantom person that did the crime, and then she was innocent of it. And you could argue that power tools are heavy, and she was able to get some sort of power tool, I think, to cut the head off. There's things that could be argued, but I do think the attorneys are working with what they have. Like you were saying, Loki, how he did nearly got Tellus a parole, so they're just doing whatever job they can. And yeah, the people that were, she was Baker's evil, and whoever was involved with him completely got messed up. Like he was like contagious. His the I would call demonicness was contagious, and usually a lot of times when someone is abused like that, they become abusers themselves in some sort of way. So it looks like she became like that, and it wasn't really a good thing that she was associated with that. That also would hinder the case in her favor. Yes, she even admitted in the police interview that she was doing those things. Then she redacted her statement, and it can still be used in the Nevada court. It can still be used, but I don't know if she'll take the stand or not. There's some ambiguity around that. Yeah. Yeah, and I liked the... Alright, Moki says, Alien willing to post some alien links for you before everyone gets here. You can watch them on your own or whatever. Oh, thank you, Moki. Alright. I have been keeping up with the new Atlas, Friyay Atlas on Twitter. It seems to be having lots of interesting activity to it. It seems more than just a meteor or a comet. It seems very mechanical. Interesting. That looks cool. Okay, let's see this one. Always like these links. It's great to find people that have the alien fascination in common. That's always good to see. Alright, let's go here. Ah, nice. Total secrecy in Las Vegas now. It is scientist Dr. James Lakinski is finally taking, he said, program documented human technology recovered. A craft. Nice. Okay, thank you. I have that saved. Okay. Yeah, because the whistleblower, with one reason that holds water with the alien theory, is there's a lot of whistleblowers. Of course, we know that some people have faked alien encounters. Some people may have gotten mixed up with something else, but the amount of whistleblowers that are talking about these different alien sightings gives more credibility, in my opinion, that there's something else out there, because the universe is very big and vast, very, very big, and there has to be other things that are in there. So it's always nice to see these links that you send me where it sheds some light on the possibility of some situations that may have occurred that have to do with it. Okay. In my position with the current trial that we're watching, I am glad that we got to see a larger scale trial, because this year has been not many trials this year like we used to have. But this one's a classic, and it's a sequel to Tellus and to Monica at the same time. So it was quite interesting. I still think guilty at the moment, but it's really messed up. She got molested by Baker, and she had it rough. But yeah, I'll change my position if I'm convinced, though. So that's my take on today's court case. All right. And Moki says, some of the whistleblowers could be being used to further Project Bluebeam. Yeah, with Project, and for those that don't know what Project Bluebeam is, it was brought to my attention in the year 23. I think. Maybe 22. So, Project Bluebeam is this alleged projector, right? There's going to be these projectors in this that's going to point to the sky, and people are going to see an alien invasion or some sort of an apocalypse, and it will cause lots of traumatic incidences to occur, like an alien invasion, for War of the Worlds, for instance. That's an example, or it'll be like a staged alien invasion. And I've also heard the coming of Christ. People say Muhammad and Buddha, but the thing is that there's nothing about, for the two religions like Buddhism and Islam, they don't talk about them like returning in that sort of sense, so that wouldn't really make any sense to those people. But yeah, the Islam, Christianity believe Jesus will return. So if there's like some person in the sky that looks like Jesus, maybe some people might think it is really him coming back. But with this, I don't know, like whatever technology they have to do that, allegedly, and then there will be these good aliens. I've heard different stories, that there's going to be this, but basically one that kind of puts it all together is there will be this alien invasion they'll stage, and then the real aliens come to make world peace and make our planet better. And then there's this NWO that happens, and it will be a very bad situation. It will fulfill biblical prophecy about a Antichrist coming. And of course, I'm not completely certain what the time or date this will occur. It may happen soon, or maybe it will happen in the future, but at some point something like this will happen. But yeah, so with all the alien sightings that people see that they're talking about, the whistleblowers, they might be agents to try to nurture the Project Bluebeam to show people that there are aliens out there, and then when an actual alien thing occurs, they'll think that, oh, these are the aliens, but it actually isn't the aliens, it's some sort of a projection of them. Because I've seen I saw a UFO one time. I believe it was real. But I can see where if there's some sort of technology to make it look like a projection, it could kind of fool someone, especially someone being caught off guard and just like doing their own thing, not like prepared like we are, if it happens or not, and they see something in the sky floating around, even if it's not realistic, they're going to think that it could be true disclosure. And we've been talking about the Comet 3i Atlas for a couple of months now, and we're at the time of the year that it has arrived. It has turned its trajectory towards the planet, and it seems like for some reason there has been physicists, people that are in the scientific community that do believe that it could be some sort of a spaceship. Now, the generalized mainstream narrative about it is that it isn't really, it's like a comet, but it's very strange how it seems to move on its own, and it has its own trajectory. I mean, what is controlling it to make it go in different directions? Because if something is just floating in space, it's not going to have any kind of forethought to it what to do or where to go. Now, there's these theories that the reason these comets, these spaceships, look a certain way is that they've been in space for so long and they got so old that it became crystallized like a comet-looking thing, but it was just out there for so many centuries. I don't know, it could have been out there millions of years, and it just got that way. One thing I think is the interesting thing about the aliens, which there's different theories of what they are exactly, which we have the theories, I think, be aliens, angels, and demons. We have theories about that, which I do believe there's truth to. Now, for sake of argument about them being from some other planet, which I do think there are things on other planets, I think it was quite incredible that they're able to build these things for thousands of years and be able to zoom back and forth between different planets. Because we're kind of far behind them. Oh, hello, Elaine. Good evening. There are aliens that are kind of behind in our path. So what that means is aliens being behind us is that we are not as advanced as they are. We're kind of more primitive technology than them. I think maybe in 300 or 400 years we'll have some similar technology what they have, but it won't be like even their level of advancement. Like you'll be able to control different weather and all kinds of stuff in 400 years from now, allegedly. It'll be the year 2425, right? We were in 2025. 400 years will be 2425. And Alien said, I think aliens need to come help us at this point. Oh, we just had a news reporter canceled for daring to say pregnant women instead of pregnant people. Yeah, Elaine, I get what you're saying, and the aliens with their certainly with their scientific abilities would know the difference, and I think they could get the Earthlings, for sake of argument, to straighten themselves out a little bit. They need to get with the program. Simple biology, simple science wouldn't hurt. I think people have a right to say their opinions about something without being censored, as long as it's done in a respectable manner where people aren't being like harassed or something. But people could still say their opinions if they, in a respectful manner. So yeah, I understand what you mean, Elaine, because aliens that are advanced looking at this planet and people are getting that emotional over something on the news not being said right is certainly dystopian. Where, I mean, people for, yeah, it's ridiculous completely. Yeah. Oh, I'm glad to hear, Lori. Thank you for writing us here. Hey, Lori says, "Hey, alien in chat. My back surgery went well. I'm woozy and about to fall asleep. Hope you all are great. Thank you, Lori. You and our thoughts and prayers. We are doing great. We had a full day of trials, but it only ended at 3 p.m. at the time that in the where the trial is taking place over in the other realm of Nevada. So it's kind of early in their region. Of course, where like you would understand, it's like close to where you are, in a way. That part of the country, the Pacific time. Yeah. So if it's not Pacific time, y'all let me know. And as I said, the day lasted. It wasn't a full day compared to being over there in that part of the country because it was only the later afternoon over there. It still was longer than a lot of trials have been. But they did end it kind of early, though. We could have gotten more done. I think the defendant is guilty so far. Or if somebody else did it, it wasn't the son. But as I said, the attorneys are doing the best they can with working with what they had. They're pretty good with almost getting Tellus a. We don't want Tellus getting out ever, but from a law perspective, they almost got Tellus a plea. I mean, not a plea deal. That's not the. Not plea deal. It was the other word. To get him probation, not probation. Anyway, they almost got him some time for parole. Is the right word, parole. So they almost got Tellus parole, although we don't want him ever being released. But they're good at what they do, right? And they're working with whatever they have, and there's not much to work with their defendant they have. Yeah, and Lori says, thank you so much, and yes, Pacific time. Okay. All right. Yeah. As I said, I like the different witnesses on the stand. It was heartbreaking to see what the parents had to say, and the parents remained calm, and they had a translator because it was a Japanese individual. So, time served. Oh, yeah, but with Tellus, he's going to be locked up for life, by the way. He's not going to ever get out. Yeah, time served. Yeah. That's usually when somebody's been incarcerated for a while and before their sentence, and that counts as time served. that can be to lessen their sentence. And yeah, Tellis almost got parole. I think Tellis taking the stand was a mistake for his own case, and he just like made a fool of himself. Like, he just really made a fool of himself. Prosecution really got him good. Elaine said, Tellis, in my opinion, will never be released. His lawyers gave him false hope. Yeah, yeah, that's true. They gave him false hope. Indeed. Now the situation with Tellis is that yeah, they give him false hope certainly because whatever strategy he had wasn't going to work to get him out of that situation, and they do a good job with whatever they have, but when someone's really bad, we want them to be locked up. We don't want them getting out. Lori said, don't listen to me right now under the influence of pain meds. Yeah. Scared. Yeah, when I said the foolish part about Tellis when he took the stand, that's when I remember he was talking about his shoe. He took his shoe off and he told everybody the shoe size he wears. He was telling people how he thinks. Oh, I'm back. He was telling everybody like his height. He doesn't like, so he makes his shoes. He has like boosters in his shoes to make his height taller. And he took a shoe off and showed everybody. I was like, what? Yeah, that was wild. Hello, Sauce. Good to see you, my friend. Welcome. It's basically in the same courtroom, too. Or the same courthouse. Elaine says, I listen to everybody when I'm under the influence of wine. I got you, baby. Funny. Yeah. Yeah, Sauce, it was quite an intriguing day, as I said, in the realm of trial chatting. Yeah, there's been debate about what the reason for what happened was, right? So people have this speculation of why they chop off the head and try to desecrate the body, because they were already in the same house and they would have figured out who it was. That's what Kathy Rusin was telling me, like, why would they, since the body's there and they could pretty much identify who it was, cutting off the head wouldn't be practical. But according to chat, some of my own observations, my speculation, and Google, it had to do with her attempting to try to make the body unrecognizable. And she just might have been, or whoever did it, if it wasn't her, was really kind of clueless and thought they could get away with it. Or they were going to complete. Passion said, she was saying how maybe they were going to completely dismember the body and it was too big of a job or they couldn't do it, so they're just going to butcher it. No pun intended. And they were going to do what they can to make it look unrecognizable, but it was a failed attempt. The head and trying to desecrate the body with acid to try to make it unrecognizable. But they still found out who it was. So there is still an ongoing debate why she did the decapitation. If she's ever found guilty, she's not going to be a happy camper. That is certainly for certain. Indeed. But if something swings around and all of a sudden she's innocent looking, then that'll be a 180 twist to the plot. I wouldn't be even surprised at this point because this story is just crazy. It's like she married the son of the person she was dating, similar to like what happened with her with Baker. Yeah, so it's a wild mess. Keeping up with the family tree in this case is a tedious situation in itself, Jack, because it's this person's dating this person and married the other person, and then she was connected with Baker. I mean, you'd have to get like a whole family tree from Timu to really map out what was going on in that trial. Yeah. So on Monday we're going to see on Monday what transpires. If we'll continue with, I think her name was Andrea, the witness. I think people were saying her name was Andrea, whatever her name is. She is going to be taking a stand on Monday, and they will continue with the. Well, yeah, with the trial. Yes. Let's go here. Yeah. Now, one situation, just to clarify, is that Joe was asking about the Sementelli trial. The Sementelli trial is very long. Okay, so when a trial is that long, to watch the whole thing would maybe not be necessary and take a long time, because if these trials were books, they would be books and books and books of trials. It would be like the Harry Potter series or the Pirates of the Caribbean series. It'll just keep on going on. Now, or you could argue Transformers, because that's another franchise that had a lot of movies to it. I was suggesting some simple scenes from it. Because I would say with Baker, his testimony, the son's testimony, and the victim impact statements some other people mentioned was a good idea. Hello, Lowly. Welcome to the spaceship. Glad to have you on board. Okay, and Elaine says, do you think she's a child groomer? Her relationship with her stepson seems weird to me. That's a no-no in Scotland. Well, Scotland has good morals, and I appreciate their morals that they have, their moral compass. So, somebody like her has no moral compass whatsoever. She's a savage. A savage. And to answer your question, I will draw a parallel. Well, nice. So drawing the parallel about this interesting situation that's very disturbing. When she was a kid, when she was 14, you're welcome, Lily. Not a baker, that was funny what I said. The baker, Robert Baker, groomed her when she was 14 and molested her. And then he married her when she became an adult, after he got out of prison. There's a pattern of abuse that occurs, allegedly, where people that are abused, that they're molested or they're abused of some sort of way, they become the abusers themselves. And you see that in movies, and you see that, I mean, there's exceptions to the rule. Not everybody does that, but they could be at risk for that. So her going with the father and then going with the son, that is a clear sign that I wouldn't put it past her, that to answer your question, yes, I think she was also a groomer as well. Usually with people like that, that's how it works. Yes, the BS was normalized to her. And as a coping mechanism, they will want to take power back subconsciously. And I am not a professional. I'm not a psyche or anything. This is from my amateur, observation of it. So They want to have a, yes, it gets normalized to them, normalized behavior. They want to regain control of the situation. Like they were the victim, right? Now they want to be the person in charge and make a victim, so they could feel like they're like powerful. Like say somebody that bullies or trolls somebody, the bully like puts other people down to make themselves look better. You know. Yeah, they grow up to be chomos too. Yeah. So that's part of a power play. It was normalized to them, and unfortunately, when somebody is chomoed as a young person, they could have a Stockholm syndrome where they'll defend their captor and become like them. You know, because this is very dark, but people want to feel protected and provided for, right? But and they may feel some sort of sense of protection or some sort of kinsmanship with the person that did that. So it's a combination of psychological twisting, that taking normal human experiences and twisting it around into something evil, and then they become the thing that they were attacked by. There's a saying, an idiom: if you look into the void too hard, you become the void. And that's what happens. They become abusers themselves. So, yeah. I think that's basically proves she was guilty. And the fact that Baker's a murderer that murdered PC upon him, Robert, no, not Robert, Fabio Sementelli, who is a nobleman. He was murdered by Baker, and Baker's wife murders this person. So it looks like they're like intertwined. They're like basically the same person. He would believe in spiritualism or spirituality of a religion, you know, that they made a spiritual link between each other. Like they made a spiritual link, they synchronized, and they both became like one flesh. But when you do that, that darkness came into her, and then she's becoming like him. Yeah. Elaine says, y'all, they would not be seen as victims here in Scotland. They would be losing teeth, or and much worse for that. And as I said, shout out to the Scottish. I admire them very much because this sort of behavior is not tolerated. And I'm glad that there's noble, good people over there that are not going to put up with evil people like that, because I think they should never get out. Robert Baker, in the Sementelli trial, this woman was mentioned, and he was trying to be protective of her. You know, maybe he was trying to have a good moral compass and keep her out of it. But she was mentioned, and after she was being mentioned, he proceeds to go on a rant about it because he wanted to protect her privacy. He says, and probably doesn't want to expose himself, but although he was already exposed. And yeah, the cycle continues. And we have to hope that this guy, the son, doesn't become one himself, you know. That he does not become an evil, vile person that will also hurt someone else. So hopefully he doesn't do that, and he stays on the straight path of righteousness. I thought it was interesting. Alright, Moki says, Lori, glad your surgery went well. Please take care of yourself and rest. Thank you, Moki. That was very sweet of you. I know some things about Japan because one of my dear friends is over there that we'll see one day in the future will come back. They're doing something else right now. But I thought when they were speaking Japanese, it was very cool. And they understand English, but in their native tongue, they feel more comfortable. A lot of people feel more comfortable in their native tongue than they do with speaking in English. But although, for whatever reason, they express their emotions differently for whatever reason, it was, you could still see the heartbreak and the hurt that the parents had, and it's so evil. Those sweet couple, that sweet couple, they had to find their son in that state. Yeah, it's the testimony's enough to drive someone to boiling point like they would in Scotland. The Scottish, as I said, like from what Elaine is telling me, the Scottish would have had this lady right in the dungeon and would have been not around, or they would have squared up with her and Baker. Michael, good to see you. That was pretty cool that you're over there today. And thank you for giving us details about what was going on in there. All right. Now, yeah, see, when they're expressing an emotion, they usually put sentences backwards. Though, so if Japanese was spoken about in our language, it would sound like how Yoda talks. Like, the person is wise, he is. Because they flip the person's, the word, like the subject, and what they're talking about is flipped backwards. So that's something interesting. So the whole logic of their language is not our language. It's very expressive. They use certain words and syllables to try to like express what is it? When we're more, I'd say, robotic, where this was good food. And they will flip it around, and they have certain words that they have that emphasize it, that will emphasize the emotion in it. So, yeah. But a lot of people that are native speakers of another language will feel more kin with their native tongue. I guess all people are like that. I guess we would be more comfortable speaking in English than some other language if we had a choice. It would be easier technically because it's in my opinion, because it's the same language that we were really raised with. All right. All right. Michael said, Moki, you are going to wish you went with trial with me today. Yeah, and so Michael, where were you sitting at in the courtroom? That's quite intriguing. I remember you're telling us the description of the men and women in there, and we're talking about one of the jurors who was cringing from one of the pictures that he didn't like. That was something quite intriguing. Where one person wasn't looking at it, they're taking notes, they were doing what they were supposed to. Yeah, and Michael, tell us everything that happened, what you saw today. I'm all ears. And yeah, I would say certain things are very disturbing to know about and to see. So I could see where some jurors, may have a phobia about something or be too disturbed to want to look away for a second. That is something that I think it is quite interesting to understand. Michael said, right behind Devine, a couple of rows, two of her attorneys were sitting in front of me. That is incredible. Yeah, he could call in if he wants to. However he wants to do it. I'll put the number in the chat if he wants to call in, or if he wants to get on the video chat thing, he could do that too if he wanted to. All right. Loli said, I was surprised that the jurors haven't asked many questions. Loli, I thought of that as well. I thought that was... Yeah, I guess it's pretty straightforward about what's going on. But I thought about that too, that they didn't have any thing to say. But yeah, but then again, it's quite straightforward. And my stance is guilty at the moment. Unfortunately, it's sad because she was molested, but it's still she did a crime, and she did some weird stuff. So with the son of the guy she was with, so she kind of got what she deserved. Yikes! But yeah, so far guilty. Yeah. Shout out to Mary Toodles. Oh, I didn't turn the lights on. Okay, sorry. All right, Elaine says, I was watching two trials today, which I tried to avoid. My brain is not equipped to handle that much info. Oh, I know about the trials. Okay, Moki, I will. About the trials, I well, wait, I usually watch multiple trials at once because when I was with Addie, like when Addie and the mods were there, I used to kind of like follow them around and talk to them, and I was interested in learning the different trials at once, so I got used to it. All right, and let's do this. I'll get the number. Mary Toodles, shout out to you.
Okay, thank you.
Well, one of the friends went to the courthouse today and saw the trial like in there.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bubbles, I have to go. I have to go. No. I have to go. I have to go. See what AT and Grandma.
Okay. I want to make sure everything's set up right.
Where's your candle? Look at your candle.
Now, does that have that type of mixer in here? Or we're just going to have to do this, right? We'll do it like that. And they can watch the spaceship cats, I guess. All right. You asked one of the attorneys. Okay. All right. Let's go here. Okay. That worked. All right. Looks like it all worked. Probably not. All right. I'm putting the number in there. Hello, hello, Passion. Great to see you. Welcome. Okay. It was late though. You can hear a pop and not really know what you're hearing. Yeah, especially if you're caught off guard and not knowing what is going on. That is another one that people might not completely realize. When a pop goes off. And, yeah, definitely. I don't think he was M where he was found and he was moved later. Right? She probably put money in his commissary. I think Devin shot him in the head with her pew pew gun. She removed the head and removed the bullet tracing back to her. Oh, interesting. Interesting. Interesting idea. Okay. Yeah, my position so far is guilty, definitely. I think at the moment. All right, here we go. Yes.
Hey, Alien, it's Michael.
Hey, Michael. It's very nice to have you on the show.
Hey, no problem. Glad to call in.
Yes.
It's quite different being there in person. That's for sure.
Okay. Yeah. So when you walk into the place of when you walk not the place when you walk into the courthouse of what do you see like in the like when you walk in?
Well, when you walk into the building, just like in the TV shows, you go through the metal detector. You get the little wand search on top of that, and after that, in this case, our courtroom was on the 14th floor. So, quick elevator ride up there. And once you go into the courtroom, it is 3 rows of seating on either side. And then you have the defense on one side and the plaintiff on the other, and then the courtroom. I mean, it's very clean. The room itself is probably 60 by 60.
Okay. Nice. Nice. And okay, and you were sitting behind the two attorneys. That's really interesting.
Well, okay. So you had the defense desk. On the left is Devin. Then you have the younger attorney in the middle, and then the older attorney with the beard from Telus trial. Okay. Then you have behind them, you have the 3 rows of spectator seating.
Mm-hmm.
Row 1 was empty. Row 2 had 2 attorneys for the defense.
Mm.
And then I was in the 3rd row right behind them, or they were kind of spaced a couple of chairs from each other. So I was right kind of between both of them. And those were the attorneys I was chatting with during break from time to time.
Interesting. What? Tell me a question you asked him, or what was discussed, if you don't mind.
Um, Generally, I had questions about procedure, and my first question was, I guess Nevada does not consider experts, and he said no. Everyone is considered to testify based on their education, and that's how the jury hears it. That way, weight is not given from one person to a lay person.
Interesting.
Which I thought is good. We did a little off and on chatting a little bit with the Telus trial, but not much because our breaks were pretty quick. But at the end of the day, I said, did you catch what the anthropologist said? And he goes, no, what was that? And I said, well, she was talking about the V-shaped knife, or serrated knife that was used to cut the vertebrae. It was a sawing motion back and forth. I said, the knife that's missing is a cleaver. And that's not how you use a cleaver. You use a cleaver to chop with.
Okay.
And those aren't the type of wounds that she had in her vertebrae.
Okay.
So I said that might be something that he might want to bring up at closing as part of his argument. And he kind of smiled and nodded. He says, that's a very interesting observation.
Yes.
And yeah, he said, well, we have to go talk. So thank you very much. Have a great one. Will we see you on Monday? I said, probably not. I go, parking's expensive. And he kind of laughed.
Yeah. That's a fair. I never thought of the cutting method. Yeah, that's what Passion said, that she never thought of the cutting method. And yeah, those little things like that, and you would know more about that than I do. The type of cutting method and all would certainly play a whole role in how the action came out. It would make a big difference.
Well, and when the anthropologist was on the stand, and the defense attorney was really going over the sawing. Well, what kind of saw was it, and everything. The 2 attorneys in front of me were talking about like a Dremel tool.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, dremel tool ain't big enough.
Mm.
You'd have to have a long one to reach into the vertebrae to be able to cut through that. And he's like, yeah. I said, you're looking at a saw, and from what the medical examiner was saying about the spatter, the two don't mix.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the testimony went, because when I was talking with one of the ladies that was watching with me, who watches trials, if he died prone on his belly, okay, he would have had blood pumping through his veins, his arteries, what have you. When his heart stopped, that blood doesn't get sucked out of the body.
Okay.
Which is what the ME kind of said. Well, there's no blood there. Yeah, there's still blood in the arteries and the veins. And one of the things that happens is that the blood begins to clot. And because it clots, you don't have blood splatter like you would if you shot somebody. When you would still have spatter just because of the knife moving back and forth. That liquid is still there in the veins. You'd have tissue being thrown around all from the neck, the soft tissue, and everything else. Mm-hmm. So really what the ME was saying wasn't exactly true, because I've assisted on autopsies, and I haven't ever had to saw off someone's head, even using rib breakers to take the ribs out. I mean, you'll get spattered. Mm-hmm. So her testimony was kind of off there to me.
Interesting. Okay, thank you. So
tell us. I see Moki's comment.
Okay, good.
What about tell us?
Yeah.
Really, what I said to him about tell us was that his client wasn't very popular online, but he really saved his reputation a lot by not questioning him on the stand and letting him testify in the narrative. And I'm sure that was because of the fact he didn't want to lose his law license. And he was like, well, that's probably not far off.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So he knew that Tellis was going to lie as soon as he got on the stand. And he wasn't about to handle that. I didn't ask him a lot of details, even though he was, sitting there in the trial in the support for him and everything else. But he knew exactly what I was talking about.
Okay. Now, was there family in court? Moki was wondering.
There was family of Jonathan there. So let me go back when I got there, because I got there early. Mm-hmm. And here's what's crazy. You have the door to the courtroom is locked, mm-hmm. and it's just a hallway in front. Mm-hmm. Right in front of there, all the jurors are sitting as they get to the courthouse. Just sitting out there. They don't go to a private room in the back, a jury room, or anything like that. They're sitting in the hallway, just talking and chatting. If I wanted to, I could have sat right in the middle of all of them and started talking to them about anything except the trial. Okay? Literally. One section down from there was Yoko, her boyfriend, and their family group, all Japanese, mm-hmm. and the interpreter. Mm-hmm. Okay? I could have gone and talked to them, and I wanted to, because we're there for 20 minutes just sitting around, walking around out front of the courtroom. It's crazy.
Wow.
I actually rode up in the elevator with one of the attorneys for the state, for the DA's office, the female.
Wow, that's really cool. Wow.
But I was very, very taken back on the lack of the jury and the witnesses not having a separate area to go to.
Okay.
So as far as family on her side, none.
Oh.
No friends, no family. The only people sitting behind her were 3 attorneys and myself and a lady named Betsy.
Oh, that's cool. That is really cool. Now, how did the jury react when hearing the testimony from the parents of the victim?
For the most part, the jury is 14 people right now. Okay, two
Okay.
alternates. 10 are men, 4 are women. I would say there were 3 of them that were under the age of 40, one probably between 40 and 50, and everyone else was over 50.
Okay.
So it's an older um, an older jury. They paid attention and they took notes, and they were really listening to what Yoko had to say. And when the cross started and the story started to change, about 9 of them really perked up big time.
Oh.
And they started jotting notes because all of a sudden her story went from I woke up at 3 o'clock and heard dogs barking to, well, I really didn't wake up per se, but I figured in my mind it was about 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
Really, it just flipped real quick that the dog barking story is done. The jury won't buy it.
Wow.
So that was really, really a telltale sign. But they were very attentive, except for one juror when the ME was testifying and they were showing the pictures. She would just kind of turn her head and take a quick peek, and I mean like a half a second peek, and then she wouldn't look at any pictures at all. She looked pretty much straight ahead. She didn't look at the ME testifying or nothing. It was like she had just zoned out.
Whoa. Wow. Wow. And let's see. So, you may have done this already, but Imoki was saying where did Michael park? So
I parked where you told me to park, Moki. I listened to you.
Yeah.
I parked on the Fremont Street parking area. It was about 6 blocks walking, 2 blocks one way, 4 blocks another. So it wasn't like it was that far to walk. But there was a parking garage right across the street. So lessons learned. And it was $25.
Oh, yeah, $25. Wow. Yeah, that's a.
Hey, I looked at parking at the Golden Nugget, and just to park there in their garage was $50 on Friday and Saturday.
Whoa, 50.
Yeah, welcome to Vegas.
Yeah. Now, so the testimony, yeah, I think you're mentioning the one with you probably just mentioned this, but the person that was doing the one with the skull on the skull model, you know what I'm talking about?
Right, the anthropologist.
Anthropologist. Yeah. Now, did they have anybody in there that was that juror disturbed during that testimony or not?
No.
Okay.
No, not really, because the pictures that she had really weren't that graphic. The most graphic picture they put up there was the picture of the actual cervical vertebrae, and it was blown up. And that's when she was talking about the red arrows in the boxes on where things were cut and everything else. Those weren't really that gross. It was kind of just like looking at a bone from a piece of meat, really.
Okay.
Except it was a vertebrae. But it the defense's questions, is this something that a small woman could do? Definitely not with a hand knife. It had to be a electronic tool of some kind. However, there would have definitely have been spatter. There's no way if his head was removed in that bedroom that there would not have been spatter. The 2 attorneys in front were saying Dremel tools. I'm like, no, not Dremel.
Okay. Now, in your opinion, what do you think? How do you think it happened? In your opinion,
I have questions. I don't doubt that she hit him in the head with a wooden some object. What that object is, they haven't said yet. Is it a bat? Was it a wooden vase, or something? I don't know what else it could have been, but that's a big part of how she would have killed him, especially since it came out in testimony that he was walking around after, she had hit him in the head in the garage or something.
Interesting.
So I have questions yet on whether she did it, versus someone else, especially if you go by Yoko's testimony and she heard something at 3:00, and if Devin wasn't there at 3:00, then it had to be someone else.
Okay.
Or even 2:00 for that matter.
Okay.
Which her story changed to.
Yeah, I heard when some story's inconsistent, it could not be a completely true story.
Well, to me, if I'm the prosecutor, I'm going to get my witness on the stand, or before my witness gets on the stand, I'm going to go over her grand jury testimony with her. That's crazy that they did not do that, especially given her age.
Okay. Right. And, okay, so question from Moki is, do you think she's guilty or not?
I have more reservations after today than I did when I went in this morning.
Okay.
The prosecution is going to have to come out with something a little more substantial than she was there giving him a back rub.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And so another thing is, Moki asks, did you get anything out of the police interview?
Which one? The one that they were doing at the end of the day, or the very first one?
Moki could clarify of which one it was, but let's just say the one that was there today at the end of the day.
Okay, so here's where I had a problem with that testimony, was that first they're talking to her, and they talk to her for like 45 minutes or so.
Okay.
In the back of the car, okay? And then the guy goes, we've really been talking a while, so now I think I need to read you your rights because we have a search warrant. Mm-hmm. And we've been talking for so long. Well, you went over there without a search warrant? Well, you see, that story isn't matching up now. Because if they had a search warrant when they went over to her house initially, then they questioned her without reading her Miranda rights. So they're going to have to put someone on the stand, or this detective that's on there now is going to have to say, yes, we were there for about 30 minutes or 45 minutes, and then we were notified we had a search warrant because she had already said that they were taking her vehicle and towing it down to the police impound to get a search warrant on it later on. Mm-hmm. So, to me, these stories aren't quite matching apples to apples yet on that.
Interesting. Something that I was speculating earlier was if the son didn't do it, then say like if she didn't do it, then the son didn't do it. Somebody did it, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's the son. Now, do you think that the son may have done it or not, in your opinion?
Do I think he did it? They haven't given any motive for him to have been the one that did it. I watched his testimony from my desk here yesterday, and he did not seem like that type of person. I didn't get that vibe off of him.
Okay.
But if someone would have said, Do you think he probably planned something and gave a key to someone to go in and do that, or what have you, or Devin called him and said, "Hey, I hit your dad in the head, but he's okay," and then he called someone and said, "Hey, go to his house and kill him because now I can blame it on Devin." I don't know.
Okay.
So far, not a lot in this trial makes a lot of sense.
Okay. Thank you. So, with the defendant herself, what was her emotional state during today?
She was crying, visibly crying, consistently during the autopsy pictures.
Oh, okay.
Um, and she was going through some Kleenex, big time, because I could see because she would turn to the left away from the camera, and that's when I could see the side of her face and everything. So she was visibly doing that. A lot of people want to know if her attorneys are talking to her or she's talking to them. Trust me, she's writing things down and sliding them over to the young attorney in the middle. He's looking at it and everything, and he's passing it either to the right to the big attorney, or he's just keeping a note of it and leaving it there or pushing it back to her. But they also talk back and forth during testimony, and we just don't see it on the screen.
Okay, interesting. Now, we were talking yesterday about the state opening, maybe opening up doors that kind of hurt their witnesses. Do you think that they did that on purpose for something later, or do you think that they were being irresponsible about how they conducted the case the other day? If you saw it.
I saw it. I don't think that they really opened that many doors for anything that's major, to be honest with you. The attorneys are very relaxed with each other. The court is really relaxed. I thought it was funny when Baldy said, "Hey, can I lead the witness because of the language barrier?" And I was like, "You've been leading the witness all day long. Go for it." And there's no objections for that, which there should be.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and another thing that I am curious about is you mentioned it a little bit, but tell me about how the judge acted with everybody. How is she?
The judge is really nice.
Okay.
She comes off as being a little on the snooty side when she's doing all of the routine talking and the stuff that she has said probably 5,000 times. Mm-hmm. Don't talk to anybody, don't use your computer, don't look this up. But when she's just talking with the attorneys, or she's talking when the jury is not present, she's very pleasant. She talks slow, she talks loud, a little bit louder, so that everyone can hear her. And she's pleasant. She's funny. I mean, she cracked a joke today in court. I don't know if it was picked up on the TV or not, but yeah, she's fairly nice. And after court was over, and she's talking with the attorneys and everything, I don't know how much you saw of that, but I mean, she's into the trial with them, and finding out what do you need, what do you don't need, what are we planning on. So on Monday we'll start here. She had told us when court was not in session that she would be ending at 3, so we already knew that in the courtroom. That was not a big surprise for us. But she keeps her court moving. When the attorney said, "Hey, can we take a break here before I start doing cross?" And she's like, "No, we're going to get through this witness today." That was to the ME. Right. So, it was pretty funny.
Yeah. Okay, so did you talk to the LC camera people?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I met him before trial started. I recognized him because he walked in front of the camera, and he was worried about talking to me. He goes, "You're not a juror, are you?" I said, No. And I'd already pulled up Law and Crime on my phone. I said, I watched the trials on Law and Crime, and I showed him my phone. And he started laughing. I said, "Oh, okay." And we did chat for a little bit. Nice guy. I was going, "Do you want me to tell everybody you're doing a good job?" He goes, "I don't care."
Yeah. Yeah. So,
So I got Captain Russo on chat right now, and he kind of laughed. Oh, this is this. I asked him that when we were in line for lunch. He was standing in front of me in line. And I said, I can let Kathy know you're doing a good job. And he kind of chuckled and said, "Nah."
all right. So, is it just him there, or was there like who from LC is there? Is it just a cameraman, or is it more than one person?
Just him. Just him. The camera's there, and he. So we don't get to walk into the courtroom. So court started at 9, supposedly. The attorneys were let in. 5 minutes later, the family was let in, and then at almost 9 o'clock, well, maybe 5 after 9, the marshal there, he finally let me in and other people in to sit down in the gallery.
Oh, okay.
So, it was interesting how fast everything went for the beginning of the day. But if I had wanted to have my phone on and have long time up on my phone and been chatting, they were good with that as long as the volume was off.
Oh.
However, being an all steel building, you get no cell phone reception.
I didn't know that.
None whatsoever.
Okay.
So it kind of defeats the purpose.
Interesting. Yeah, because the type of building, it's enclosed, so it blocks the cellular signal from getting in there. Interesting.
Yeah, and it's concrete and steel, and we were on the 14th floor, so when we would take a break, I would go out of the courtroom and go outside on the outdoor balcony where the smokers are, just to get a signal to go into chat and do some chatting.
Oh, okay.
On law and crime.
Something I'm curious about is where do they go for lunch? How does that work?
Today was a short day for lunch, so there's not a lot of places they can go. In the courthouse, we have there's a company called Capriati's, which is a sandwich shop. A lot of them it's on the ground floor, and so a lot of them had lunch there, which is what I did. So a lot of them were eating lunch, and myself and Betsy went as far away from them so that we could talk as we could.
Okay. And yeah.
But the courthouse itself is really close to the old downtown strip area, which we call Fremont Street. So there's lots of places if they want to leave the courthouse, if they have an hour and 15 minutes, an hour and a half for lunch, that they can go to.
Okay, so where do they go for break? Is it the same thing or different?
No, for break they just hang out in the hall, pretty much. They do not have a jury room. Like I say, it's crazy. I know there's rooms behind the judge's area or the witness stand, because there's 2 doors there.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't understand why they don't have a room back there for the jury members, but they just go out to the hallway.
All right.
If they want to take the elevator downstairs and go down to Capriati's and grab some cookies or a bottle of soda or water or something, they can do that.
Interesting. So the hallway is like a hallway with like chairs or benches in it?
There's it's more like benches. There's chairs that they're all metal. They're not comfortable to sit on. It's just like a waiting area. So I've sat on more comfortable chairs at an airport.
Right. Yeah. So okay, thank you. So yeah, that would be interesting with the way the hallways work. Passion is saying that I assume all juries are waiting in the halls. Yeah, I would think they wait in the hallways, but I just like didn't know if there's like a room another room they could go into, or it's just the hallway. I mean, the hallway makes more sense though.
Well, no. In other trials, the jury would come in from the back of the courtroom, not the front door. They were going in and out the front door of the courtroom.
Right. Okay.
Which is why the camera guy has to raise the camera to the ceiling. He can't focus on anything because they walk right in front of the camera.
Okay. Okay. So how is the camera they use a real big camera, or is it like a smaller one?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
No, it's a big camera.
All right. All right. And I remember Shaza said, any chance the defendant will get one last 14-floor view of the city if she's convicted?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
With the third door, you got the main door, then you've got a door that the judge uses behind her, and then you have one that is, as you look at the witness, would be to the witness's left side or right side,
Mm-hmm.
and those are behind the courtroom.
Okay.
And then you have a door that's on the left side, which is where the prisoners come in and out. And that alarm actually sounded today.
Oh.
Don't know what was going on back there, but the alarm sounded during court this afternoon.
Okay. Okay. So what does that alarm usually mean?
Well, it means that either someone is being a little rowdy and they need to have some help sent in.
Okay.
But it's like a beep. It's just a high pitched beep. It's not like an alarm. It's just a beep, 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 beep.
Oh.
And yeah.
Yeah. Mogi said, I agree with Michael. They should have a holding area to limit exposure.
Yeah, if they don't want people talking to the jury, why are you putting them where the jury? Why are you putting the jury where people are?
Right.
Because there are 5 other courtrooms sharing that same hallway, for one.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Now, Moki's next question is: her family was distracting her. She wants you to say again if you're going back to the courthouse.
Oh.
Okay. So. No.
I might. I'm not going to go back on Monday. If I feel that she is going to testify, I might. I just might. I mean, it's very different being there in person and seeing everything and people's faces and how they're reacting, especially the jury. So it's worth going if you've never been. That's the best way I can say it.
Okay. Do you think she'll take the stand?
Do I think she'll take the stand? If she says she has proof that someone else did it or that she didn't do it, it will be interesting to see how the defense gets that into evidence. If they can get that into evidence without having her take the stand, she won't. And right now, I would say no. Right now, because there's nothing that she's going to be able to add that can't be done by someone else. So if she's saying, I didn't do that because when I left his house, I went to this store, and that was the other thing. She said she went to go pick up her prescription for something after she left his house. Well, there's going to be a receipt somewhere for that at that pharmacy, whether it was a Walgreens, a Walmart, or wherever.
Right.
And that was really funny. That was really funny when the one detective goes, "Yeah, I get my bleach where everyone else gets it. I get Clorox or Walmart bleach." The whole room cracked up there.
Right. Now, in the situation, she seems like, she was really, had moments of being upset, moments of crying. Now, the question is, she kept saying that she can prove it, but proof of what? What was something like she can prove she helped. That's what a passion.
I don't know yeah, that's what the defense is gonna have to be able to prove. If she can prove she went to, let's say, to go pick up a prescription afterwards, or she went to a store or stopped off at a gas station, or something like that, they're going to have cameras, and the defense would have had to have gotten that footage of her, because it will show that she's not covered with blood or anything like that. So that would then tend you to believe that she didn't cut his head off, which means she probably didn't murder him.
Okay, thank you. Now,
So yeah,
what did they think of the father's testimony?
Yoshida.
Yes.
Yoshida was really good. Not a lot of information though. His information was basically, I used to cut up dog food for my dogs, and I used a cleaver, and the next day the cleaver wasn't there, and I haven't seen it since. But let me tell you something. When you had Yoshida and Yoko on the stand, what's supposed to happen is the attorney asks a question, the translator translates it into Japanese, and they answer in Japanese. She was answering questions well before the interpreter would ever say anything. And the judge did not stop that, because she does speak English.
Right.
So, but I think he was a very likable guy. Didn't know much, didn't remember much, just like her, didn't remember anything. But so, like I said, the only thing that he was going to be good for was the cleaver.
Okay, thank you. Now, there's been a lot of talk about the mother not showing the correct emotional response to finding her son in that position. Now, in your opinion, do you think it had to do with her cultural background or shock, why she may have not reacted a certain way when she saw the decapitated body?
She was not emotional on the stand today, so I think that maybe her culture isn't one of emotion either way. But it's just weird that she did not realize his head was missing. To me, because when you go to wake someone up or look at them, you go to their shoulder, you shake their shoulder. She did say there was a lot of blood, and you didn't see the blood unless you were around the head of the bed.
Okay.
So, her phone call was a little strange, but maybe part of her was in shock.
Okay.
I don't know.
Right.
Tell Joyce we were all paid $5 not to tell you that alien was on.
Well, there you go. He spilled the beans. Yeah, and so Yamoki's saying that she would have wanted an interpreter too if she was in that situation. Like it's that's in a foreign country where maybe she knows the language, but she would have wanted an interpreter if she was the person too.
Well, here's what's funny though. The police never had an interpreter for her, and they had no problem communicating. And when the DA said, hey, you testified in a grand jury, and we did not have an interpreter there for you when you did that, and she goes, yes, I did.
Okay. Right. Now, also, we'll see is that, okay, so that kind of that maps out about how the jury was intensely listening consistently through the time about the people on the stand, and the judge was kind to everybody and got to talk to the different attorneys. And let's see. Now, okay, Joyce says, well, I want my $50 because, I had to clean. Oh. All right, let's see. Passion says, a theory, I think. What if there was a head when she called though, and then her and Yoshida removed it. That's another theory that she said.
I would say no because as soon as she called in, first responders were on their way.
Okay.
The police were heading over there right then and there, and she would not have had time to do all that. And Joyce, for the record, Moki was paying everybody, so all the money came from Moki. All right, I just want you to know that.
Yep. And okay, and I think with oh yeah. Okay, yeah, thank you for answering that question. So basically, the first responders are coming too quickly for something like that to occur.
Yeah.
All right. And
Yeah.
all right, now the other question from Moki was, what are you eating for dinner tonight?
I have no idea. I haven't been home. Well, what's Moki cooking for dinner tonight?
All right, so Moki, Michael wants to know what is on what you're cooking tonight. All right, yeah, and hilarious chat. Now, and that was all you talked to. You didn't. So there was the other people there. Yeah, just a summary. How many people did you talk to there? If you could, you don't have to get like a. That's kind of complicated, but like a rough estimate about. Was there anyone else you talked to besides the ones you mentioned tonight?
No. I chatted with the marshal that was there. The guy with the dark circles that works for Metro Police Department. He was there. The dark circles under his eyes, but he was awake, so I didn't ask him if he was tired.
Okay. Okay, and Moki said that she went out, and she's also thankful for the information you have provided.
Yeah.
Okay.
Moki, if you want to go to watch the trial next week, let me know. If it looks like it's going to be good, we can go.
Yeah.
I can swing by. Yeah.
Now, okay, Moki says, was the trial watcher he talked to? Yeah, okay. Oh, I'm gonna just ask it what she said. Okay,
Yeah.
was the trial watcher you talked to an LC person?
No, she wasn't. She was a court TV person.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
But when I was on my phone chatting during lunch and during breaks, she was looking up because we were sitting next to each other, and she's like, "What channel are you on?" I said, "Law and Crime," and so she could see the dark spots coming up, and she goes, "Are you Michael?" And I go, "Yeah, that's me." She goes, "And they're asking you questions?" "Yes, they know I'm here." "That's crazy." I'm like, "Yeah."
Yeah, awesome.
So that is too cool.
Yeah. And okay, thank you for answering that. And then Passion said, I still haven't locked down a response in my timeline. I guess the way the parents, the way the mother responded.
Oh.
Yeah, two-person in timer.
Okay. So the mom called 911.
Okay.
And then Henderson Police Department took off and got to her house. I'm thinking that response time would have been somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 to 20 minutes, maybe 25 at the most, because the crime scene tech said it took her 25 minutes to get there.
Okay.
So I'm sure the police got there a lot faster than she did.
Okay. Thank you. See, Moki says, y'all know I'm a former journalist, right? If I go there, I'm asking the defense guy about Tellus. Oh, yeah. That would be interesting to see you asking those questions about Tellus. Scared?
Well, I didn't get a chance to talk to the main Tellus lawyer. I was talking to one of the secondary lawyers that was sitting in the peanut gallery where I was sitting.
Okay.
So he works for the same group, so he's part of the team. I did not have any access to get to the main lawyer because even when we went to break, he kind of did his own thing in the in the courtroom area, but not in the area where we were sitting.
Okay. Yes. Yeah, and
But I'm sure if I had gotten up there, he would have said, "I can't talk to you about any trials right now. I'm busy." You know, he's in the middle of a trial.
yeah, he seems very stern.
Um, he is a bit. He's he has that very serious persona because it is a murder trial. Although he he's much more relaxed in person than what he seems like on YouTube when you're watching him.
Oh.
His questions are um, a little more laid back and not really as attacking as you think they are.
Yeah, being there and seeing it in person, you probably get the vibes of what's going on more than of like seeing it through the TV screen.
Yeah, Bob Lawyer, he takes all his paperwork, he goes up to the lectern where the microphone is, puts his stuff down, and then takes 4 steps to the right and starts asking questions. I'm like, what the fuck? The microphone is over here.
Right, right.
But the acoustics are really good in the courtroom. You can hear everything people are saying, even though the microphone by long prime may not pick it up. So,
Okay.
we do hear everything.
Okay, where's the LC camera located in the courtroom?
If you walk into the courtroom, so think of the courtroom as like just a square, literally. And you walk in, there's 3 rows of seating for the gallery, and then on the far right is the camera. And if you continue along that wall that's now going, into the courtroom, that's where the jury sits.
Okay.
Okay? So he's in a good angle where he doesn't catch the jury unless they're coming in or out.
Okay. Thanks.
Oh, thank you, Passion. Appreciate y'all too.
All right. And let them know. Moki says, "Let them know, Michael. Use the mic."
Well, I did tell him that before trial started. He goes, "What was the deal? We weren't able to hear DeVere testify." He goes, "That's not my fault.
No.
I can only do so much."
Right. Yeah. And okay. And let's see. See if the chat has any other questions for Michael. We'll see. And
yeah, if you notice, the one attorney did go up to the witness stand, and he stuck a book underneath the little red light microphone to get it closer to the person's mouth. I think that made a big difference also. And that, I think, was later on in the day.
Okay, yeah, that thing. So that gizmo Star Wars looking little box thing, the little black box thing, that's another microphone?
Yes. So there's actually 2 microphones on the witness stand. That's why the interpreter was telling them to talk into the red lights. That was the little small boxy one.
Yeah, that I thought it was a microphone because the other day the son went on the stand and nobody could hear him.
Yeah, I turned my volume up on my TV to listen to him. So yeah. I think it's interesting. He did not stick around. He must have gone back to California. I think the 2 daughters from his first marriage were there in the gallery, along with maybe one other friend or family member.
Oh, okay. So, in that situation, okay, thanks. He didn't stick around. Now, do you think in the courtroom it's louder, technically, than hearing it online or like on TV?
The acoustics are way better in the courtroom.
Okay, I thought so.
Way better. The ceiling is a little taller and what have you, so you have a little more of an echo effect. So it's like a built-in microphone system in that respect.
Okay. So when the break happens, the camera is pointed at the wall or the ceiling, right?
The camera goes straight up to the ceiling.
Okay, that's interesting.
Or, yeah. And after the jury leaves, that's when he lowers it down and points it at the seal of Nevada, the Great Seal of Nevada.
Okay, yeah, because that's so cool to see, about the behind the scenes, how it works in there. So I always wondered that because all the trials I've watched since the beginning, it's really cool.
Yeah, it's like I say, it's a whole different feeling being there in person.
Yeah, yeah. I absolutely think it would certainly be surreal to be there in person, and like you being like chatter online and then seeing it. That has to be an awing thing. And even if it was someone from court TV, you still like met somebody in person that was a trial chatter, which is quite a fast. I would think it would be quite cool.
Yeah, I'm just curious for those of you that were watching. Did you hear anybody cough during the trial?
Okay, today.
Yes.
Okay, now, yesterday I did hear somebody. Now, today I don't recall someone coughing today unless I missed it. But
Okay, I coughed 4 times on purpose.
oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay, now Joy said yes. Yeah, I always hear a cough every day at the trial.
Yeah, that was me.
Okay, if that was you doing it, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I see. Yeah, I every day I hear a cough in there. I was so hyper focused on like the trial. I kind of like I wasn't focusing on a cough or not, but yeah, I definitely was there to hear it. So that was you that coughed. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, chat said they heard you cough.
Yeah. I'm reading chat, so yeah. But like I say, it was generally the courtroom would get quiet or something, and then I would cough just to kind of make sure that people heard it online.
That is so cool, dude. That is thousands of people heard that. That you are sensation all over with the cough. Yes. Now, Moki asked the question that could you chat on your phone on silent or no? And I think we talked about that before, but she may have been doing something. So. Yeah.
Oh. Yes, I actually talked to the marshal before court started to get the rules of the courtroom. He said as long as there is no audio, you can have your phone on, and you can be texting and what have you. You cannot be streaming. You cannot do any video. But the problem is that they have no Wi-Fi signal in the courtroom, so I couldn't chat live from the courtroom while the trial was going on with everybody. It's like, great, you can use it, but we're not going to give you any Wi-Fi.
Is there Wi-Fi in the building?
There is Wi-Fi in the building, but I don't want to connect to the court's Wi-Fi and give them access to my phone.
Yeah. All right. All right. And Moki said, Michael, Alien wants you to get the female detective's number.
The blonde one from the end of the day?
One. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. She was an attractive woman.
Yeah. Definitely. I was very focused on what she had to say for her testimony, as Joyce was saying. Yeah. And...
Yeah.
Yeah, Moki says, oh, I see. And Passion says, can you cough tune to shave and a haircut next time? Yeah.
Well, we'd have to have two or three people coughing. Someone would have to do the first part, and then I'd have to do the last part.
Oh, okay. Yes. Now, the Passion says, gotta invoice LC for a burner phone.
Yeah, definitely need to do that. Actually, I do have a second phone. I've never used it, and it's active, so I guess I could bring that since it doesn't have any data on it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And Moki says, typical Vegas. Is she a stripper or is she a police detective?
Uh, no, actually, she's a little bit older than what you think she is.
Okay.
She's probably mid to late 40s.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, she. Yeah, I didn't really tell by the what I saw the with age. So interesting. Thank you for the info. And yeah, go on.
Yeah, the crime scene tech that testified today, she was a really good witness. I mean, she knew her stuff. She was spot on. But she didn't have a lot to really give as far as info that we didn't know. The ME was very good. There wasn't any, major issues with her. The anthropologist was very good, so those three witnesses, and then I think our last witness of the day, the detective, all those I think were being seen very well by the jury. So,
Okay. Now, do you think they helped her case or hindered it? The good witnesses.
I don't think they did either. I think they just brought a lot of facts in of things that they saw, but there was no evidence to say that Devin did this. They're just saying, hey, this is the body. This is how we found it. These are the marks of lividity on his side. Here's his injuries. We talked to these people. We didn't talk to those people. I took pictures of this. I took pictures of that. And if the detective that was there wanted pictures of something, I took pictures of that too. So really, the witnesses didn't hurt Devin any today. They just provided the background information that people probably wanted to know.
Thank you.
I think Monday is going to be more telling when they get to the end of her interview in the back of the police car.
Okay. Now, Joyce says, what was the jury's reaction to the defense attorney? Because, boy, I was rolling my eyes for hours.
When the defense attorney did what?
Let's just say until she wants to clarify something specific.
Okay. In general, the jury was really paying attention to the defense attorney today. The things he was bringing up, especially with Yoko, were contrary to what her previous testimony at the grand jury was and what she had said at the beginning of the day when direct was being done. So they were paying close attention. They're not really rolling their eyes at him and thinking, oh, what a bunch of stupid questions or anything. I think he did very good today.
Oh.
And while you're at it, hit that like button.
Yeah, probe that like button. Okay, and thank you, Elaine, for the super chat. I appreciate it. And Joyce says, questioned the witness today. Yeah, so during the questioning, now with all the different I know there's quite a few witnesses today. Now, consistently when they were showing the witnesses, was their reaction to the defense attorney, would you say favorable, not favorable, or just neutral?
I would say it was neutral. I mean, it was like watching a tennis match. You see the people's heads turning back and forth between the witness and the attorney, and then the witness and the attorney. So they were into the testimony because the questions he asked made a lot of sense.
Okay. And something that I was talking to Kathy Roosin today, and we were having chat was having a big debate about this, and we're trying to wonder why would the person, whoever did this, decapitate the head and do that to the body when the body would already be found? They would know who it is. Do you think it was butchered, where they're trying to dismantle the body, but it was too difficult, so they just left it there? Was it out of gore? We don't. We're only speculating here. I want you to see your thoughts about that.
It would definitely be speculation, but my guess is that the way you hide the evidence when it comes to the manner of death,
Mm-hmm.
or the cause of death, I should say, not the manner, the cause of death, if you cut the head off, you can't tell what the cause of death is. So that tends to lead to whoever actually killed him panicked and did that, which, of course, tends you to go back to Devin, because, we know she hit him in the head with something wooden. Well, did that kill him, or did that just knock him out, or what? Or did it just hurt him? That's what we don't know, and that's why she will never get on the stand.
Interesting.
This is really one of those cases where the prosecution has to prove she did it versus, really having evidence to show that she did it. Because the evidence that directly showed isn't there. It's all going to be circumstantial.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, the crazy other part of that was that she was there. The police were there at her house that day that they found the body.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a search warrant and everything. And this is like from mid-morning or midday to 3 or something like that, I think. Well, where was the head? Where was anything bloody? There wasn't anything in a trash can.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever happened to the head, it didn't go back to her and DeVere's house.
Right. Okay. Thanks. So, and that would explain putting the acidic substances, because there was like Clorox and something else that they, and you would know about this, they put it on the body of whoever it was, and then if the smoke was still coming from it, why was the smoke still coming from the body from the chemical reaction?
Well, you just said it. It was a chemical reaction.
Okay.
And that's what was causing it was basically the acid burning through tissue. And the acid had not been neutralized by the body tissue yet. So it was still acidic, and that was causing the smoke. The question is why would they even bother doing that? Because it didn't really cover up anything. It had nothing to do with around the neck area. It was on his chest.
Okay.
So, and the fact that or on his back, I should say, because, he was face down. If the, I may go back and replay that again to see if it was on his chest or on his back, because if it was on his chest, that means the body was moved, definitely, because he was found face down.
Okay.
So that's something to look at when they post the video.
All right, so Passion says they should have asked the ME if there was blood missing in her opinion.
I don't think it was a case where they ever did a blood volume measurement, a CBC on him, because the blood had clotted already. So they couldn't do a volume check on him that way.
All right. And Passion says, I don't know how blood acts if the body is dead. She said, I'm not an experienced in decapitation trials. Got to cover all angles.
Well, think of it this way, all right? You're laying down on your stomach, and your heart stops beating, okay? Your veins and your arteries still have blood in them. It's just not being pumped around the body. So that blood isn't going anywhere. It's only going to do one thing. It's going to clot and form a clot and just become a solid. And then the serum part, the liquid part of the blood, is going to float above it the longer it sits.
Okay.
So that might eventually, well, that wouldn't even disappear either. It might dry up after a long time, but we're only talking a day here or half a day. So that's not going to happen. So it's one of those things that kind of the ME kind of threw people off with when she says, "Well, the blood disappears." It doesn't disappear; it's still there. You still have the same volume of blood that you had when you died. It's just not circulating around the body. It just stops where it is, and it begins to clot. Clotting factor 6 activates clotting factor 5, activates clotting factor 4, 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Boom. Done. That's how blood clots.
Okay. Thank you. Passion says, would it be analogous to something like milk absorbed into the sponge lying flat on a counter?
No, because your blood does not leak out of your arteries and veins.
Okay.
If it did, we'd have big problems.
Okay. Thanks.
It would be like having a tube of liquid wrapped around a towel. Even though you're not moving the towel anymore or shaking the liquid back and forth in the tube, doesn't mean the liquid goes anywhere.
Okay. Thanks. And let's see, there's a theory that, Judy was saying, there's a theory they have about the bullet, like they got shot and then decapitation to remove the evidence is a theory that she has.
Well, Judy, I would say if that's the case, and they shot him in the head, there would be splatter everywhere, on the walls, on the sheets, and what have you. If he was shot anywhere in the house, you would have the same thing. Yet there was no blood trails. There was no other scene of blood anywhere other than on his bed and on the floor in front of his bed. So it would be hard to say that that happened anywhere in the house.
Okay, now what about strangulation? You think that could have been a possibility?
Strangulation could have definitely been a possibility, and of course that got hit because they cut his head off. So you don't know.
Okay. So they wouldn't be able to tell if they strangled him.
Correct. And I think the defense made a really good point of that, is the fact that the medical examiner could not look at the hyaloid bone to see if that had been fractured or broken, which happens when you're strangled because that was with the head, and the head is missing.
Okay, well, interesting, thanks. And Joyce said she caused head trauma and he died from it. She panicked and cut his head off is a theory that she's proposing.
And that's the same theory that the state is proposing. And they proposed that in their opening. But, it goes back to what would, if you took the time to cut someone's head off and use power tools and all this other stuff, and remember, his mom was in the house at the time. She didn't hear any of that going on either.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something to think about with the power tool theory, that no one else heard power tools.
Okay. Thank you.
Not saying it's the wrong theory, just saying that there's some holes in there.
Okay, now something that I was mentioning earlier is that she would have to have known how to use a power tool, and sometimes power tools and all could be heavy.
Yeah, and that, well, the thing is, in order to cut someone's head off like that, a Dremel tool is not going to work, first of all. It's not big enough. So that was what the defense attorney was really harping on when he was talking about a sawzall or some type of hand knife, which would be like a knife you use to carve turkeys with. Okay? So both of those things are rapidly moving back and forth and would cause splatter.
Okay.
Now, those are not the type of tools that are used when you are doing an autopsy, which is what the ME was saying, kind of saying, that's why she doesn't get spatter, is because she's not using those type of tools. Now, a reciprocating saw, a sawzall, that would be a semi-heavy tool. A turkey carver, not so much.
Right. And also, we see Elaine said, "Me over here balking because my serial killer cats have left more victims at the door."
I think that's when the story really starts to fall apart. And Joyce, I don't know if you were in here originally when I brought it up about the cleaver, but I talked to one of the defense attorneys at the end of trial today and mentioned the fact that the forensic anthropologist said it was a V-shaped knife, or a serrated knife, and it went back and forth. And that's not how you use a cleaver. You use a cleaver to chop down with. And those were not the type of marks that were in the vertebrae in the back of Jonathan's neck. And he kind of got a big smile. He said, "That's a really good point."
Okay, thanks. And there's this other thing where chat is saying, okay, now Joyce said V or B shaped.
V as in victory.
Okay.
That would be like your bigger carving knife.
All right. And Moki said, I think people are overthinking the splatter. She thinks that she did do it, in her opinion.
Well, it would be interesting to find out that, let's say she hit him over the head and killed him, okay? Well, is it possible she put something down on the floor, a.k.a. Dexter, and then cut the knife off and then got rid of all that stuff in one bag? There's a theory.
Okay.
She did a Dexter on him.
Okay. Yeah. And we were talking the other day about the evidence of like the son doing it wouldn't make any sense because the cameras would prove that he wasn't like there to do it. Now, do you think there's a way he could have gotten around it to get it done? Or do you think that the cameras showing he wasn't there proves that he wasn't involved? In your opinion?
I think the majority of the cameras were at his and Devin's house.
Okay.
Not at his dad's and grandmother's house.
Okay. And Yamoki said, I believe that before the son's Pink Panthering move, because there was a joke yesterday from Passion that the son had to do like some sort of Pink Panther move to get this murder done like swiftly without being detected, and she was saying she believes that before so that's what the Pink Panther move means.
Yeah. Well, remember, he's the one that put in all the cameras, so he knows what the angles are.
Okay.
So if he wants to get around the cameras, he knows how to get around the cameras.
Okay. And Passion says, yeah, that's what I'm thinking. There's plastic sheet with the head, in her opinion.
Could very well be. But the state has to prove that.
Yes, and Moki says no one was in the house.
His mom was upstairs.
Okay.
Remember, because she woke up supposedly at 2:00 or 3:00, hearing dogs.
All right. Yes. Okay. Thank you. And do you think there could be like a third person that's not being mentioned that could be involved in this, like some other party that wasn't accused of it?
I would say there would only be a third party if either Devin or DeVere is part of the crime itself.
Oh, so you think that it's possible it might be a big conspiracy of multiple people?
Well, not a big conspiracy, but you've got Devin, who immediately rushes off to California to be with another woman right after his dad dies.
Hmm.
That's kind of strange, considering his dad was going to move into his house with him, you know. Um, so that's kind of kinky in a way when it comes to figuring out what happened there. And then you've got Devin, who is planning him moving in. She's helping him move his stuff in, into the house and everything. Well, why would you go to all that if you plan on killing him? See, that the story, there's something missing in the story as to what went down, and the version of he wanted me to do something kinky to him while I was giving him a massage just doesn't come out in the wash.
Okay. So, and Joyce says there's no way you would hear a sawzall upstairs, in her opinion.
Yeah, you would.
Okay.
A sawzall makes as much noise as a circular saw would make. And if I'm doing it inside my house, especially at night, everything is going to echo because of how quiet it is.
Okay. Unless there's some sort of canceling out noise, the device like a fan or some headphones someone has in their ears when they're sleeping, you probably would hear it bounce off the walls, hypothetically. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Exactly.
All right. Then there was, okay, we start, okay, I was looking at the questions.
Judy, it's like a reciprocated.
A reciprocated, okay. Yeah, and a shout out to Judy in chat. I'm glad everybody is here. And running off already planned because, okay, hey, she probably, oh yeah, she probably threw on some music. Let's get some music on. Now, a hypothetical speculation is that could music drown out the sawing, or maybe if there was music, they would hear music though.
That's possible.
Okay.
I would say that's definitely possible.
Okay, thank you. Now, and yeah, I think that whoever did this was really orchestrated it well, and premeditated it, where it was difficult to decipher who did what. Like they say the perfect crime, they will say, where it's not maybe completely clear from certain perspectives about who persons were behind it.
Well, and I think that, in many cases of these trials, it's not a perfect crime. It never is. But the defendant, their state of mind is, well, they have to prove I did it. So I'm not going to say I did it. Okay? And I've watched her pre-trial plea bargain hearing 3 times now. And every time I watch it, if you listen to what is happening, it's not her saying, I want to go to trial. It's the bald-headed attorney that says that, not her.
Okay.
The bald-headed attorney comes back and says, fine, we'll go to trial. And the judge goes, okay, great, we'll go to trial then. And then she looks over at Devin and goes, do you want to go to trial then with us? Or do you want to talk to your attorney? No, I don't want to talk to my attorney. So yes, I want to go to trial. It wasn't her saying, I'm not wanting to do this. It's the attorney and the judge saying it first.
Okay. And Passion says, I wonder if the ammonia or bleach would dissolve gunpowder fragments. Surely they would have found residue if there was a gunshot. Is that right?
Yeah, you could clean off gunpowder residue just with running water and soap.
Oh.
So, but once again, you still have to do a full cleanup, And if you look at that room wasn't cleaned up.
Yeah. Okay. And Moki says, I had a hard time hearing the recording. In the recording, Michael, did she admit to anything?
She admits to hitting him in the head with a wooden object, and that's it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Not as and that was all she admitted to. Now, do you think that it's completely hypothetical. Now, do you think that some theory that I've heard that she was peer pressured into confessing to things, or do you think that her attorney encouraged her to say that she did that, or she did that on her own? What do you think?
I think the attorney stepped in, got a plea deal done, and that's all he cared about. I don't think that he was necessarily listening to everything she had to say or believing everything she had to say. I know that he knew that she hit him in the back of the head with something wooden. He says, great, if I can get her 15 years instead of life, I've done a great job. And that's what he did.
Okay. And some people were thinking that it was foolish for her to go back to trial. I mean, this is an interesting trial for us to watch. I'm glad it came up, and for us being here and talking about it. But if some people think it was not a wise move for her to go to trial over it. Now, she's found innocent or something, it would have been a big victory. But have you seen your time watching trials, people usually doing what she did to go back to trial over taking a plea?
That's hard to say because only she knows what happened and what she did. If let's say she didn't kill him, and all she did was hit him in the head, and you go there with that, then yeah, I would want to go to trial. However, if I knew that I killed him, regardless of whether I decapitated him, I would take the 15 years because I would be afraid that, I'm going to jail for the rest of my life. And I wouldn't want that. Now, some people say, well, 15 years is close enough to life, so I'll take my chances. It just depends on your mind thought.
Right, okay. Nice. All right, and then let's see any other questions. No, okay, I think they changed house. Okay. Notes to okay. Now, the other question right here is, it's actually a statement. Michael seems level-headed so far, critical thinker. I vote you'll be safe. It had to do with the poll about if Moki would be safe going to trial with you. I think she'd be safe.
Except unless Joyce gave me $50.
Scared.
Scared.
Yeah. Good. Yeah.
So if Moki and I go to a trial and I disappear, you know who did it.
Right. Exactly. Okay. And this is like something really detailed, but did you see people eating a sandwich in the hallway during lunch or no?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, people were eating in the hallway. Like I said, Capriotti's is a sandwich shop. So that's where, people grab their lunch. Then they go back up to not be late today because we only had 45 minutes for our lunch break because we ended early because the judge had to go someplace.
Oh.
But what was funny was before the 9 o'clock in the morning, the last juror arrived, okay, and to out front, and they all cheered. And right away I knew that was the juror that was late yesterday. And they must have all been making fun of him for being late, and we're happy he wasn't late today.
Okay. Yeah, because we were chat and I were wondering why she ended it so early, and so yeah, she had to
Yeah.
go somewhere.
Well, yeah, she had something else going on today.
Okay, because it was only 3 p.m. over there apparently.
Yeah, and she actually, like I say, she told us that ahead of time. So the attorneys knew it, the jury knew they were getting a short day. They just didn't know they were going to get a short lunch.
Oh yeah. Okay, and I'm seeing anything else because in the chat, if they have any questions for Michael, they feel free to ask it. And because I remember the other day we were very curious. Well, I will remember seeing that we're going to do something, and then I saw that I think you're going to the trial. Then we saw I was there in chat when you say you're going to trial. I was like, whoa, that
Yeah.
is so cool, and yeah, love some classic vote say from Oki, and yeah, because the chats it was, and I not the polls for they don't I don't vote in it. It's the other people do. The poll was 83% yes, 17% no, and they're trying to figure out who voted no.
Yeah.
Scared.
It was Joyce because she was busy writing out that $50 check.
Yeah.
Had a note in the bottom left corner: "Send Moki up the river."
Yeah. And Elaine said, "Now I brought up food, so now I'm going to search the fridge." Elaine said, "Oh, oh Lord." Okay, that is funny. Now, I'm glad that the judge was nice because there has been some times where I have seen a shout out to Bubbles. He says hello to Michael, and
Yes, I hear bubbles.
yeah, there's been time. Do you remember the trial where it was the treadmill trial? I was mentioning this to Moki before. That guy was really the judge. He seemed real grumpy, and I don't know anything about him personally, but like some judges, they could get seem a little bit in a mood. But this one, like we thought the judge was too harsh on her on the defendant we're watching in the current trial during the plea deal thing. But now, I'm glad to know that she's nice to everybody in the courtroom and she's cool. Yeah, because sometimes judges, I don't really see it that often. Sometimes it could be in a bad mood.
Um, yeah, she is very very pleasant in the courtroom. Um, and after trial ended today, I don't know if they showed it on Law and Crime with her talking with the attorneys afterwards to get some other things straight. But like I say, the attorneys get together, they work out what exhibits are good, what exhibits are bad. They ahead of time, which helps keep everything moving. And the judge is aware that these exhibits are out there, and she'll say, "Hey, are these good? Are these bad? Do you need me to step in to look at any of them?" And they'll say, "Nope, we've already done it, and these are good." And that's some of the stuff I know that we don't see normally, is that the attorney, when there's a witness on the stand, is handing the other group the pictures they're going to be putting on for the next witness so that they can look at all those pictures ahead of time. So when they get up there and say, "Hey, here's 220 pictures we'd like to move into evidence, 220 through 400, whatever," it's already a done deal. The judge looks over to the defense and says, "Any objections?" They say, "No, no objections," because they're working really well together. And I know the judge definitely appreciates that. But having been in trials where that hasn't happened, like YSL trial, you really learn to appreciate that quite a bit. That the trial is moving quickly.
Oh, okay. And Passion says, she said, "I felt the judge was a bit cruel during the defendant's rejection of plea debacle, but I know courts don't have a place for empathy." Do you think the judge was too harsh to her or not, in your opinion?
At the plea deal trial, the plea deal hearing, absolutely. She went from 0 to 100, blaming the defendant because it's been 2 years since the murder. that's not the defendant's fault that this hasn't gone to trial. She's not the one that's delaying it. If I had been the jury witnessing that, or the judge witnessing that in person, I would have sent her for a 20-day eval, psych eval.
Right.
Because she was really having a breakdown right there in the courtroom.
Right. Well, she certainly it shows a lot of emotion about the defendant. Show a lot of emotion during that episode. Now, Judy says, okay, a question: do you think that the lawyers seem to not care much for the defendant? Like, do you think they seem to care about their client, or they seem more stoic about their emotion about it? What do you think?
If I don't see any quote unquote caring about them going on, I see it more as from this group that they really want to give her the best defense that they can within the bounds of the law. They are doing their job, and they're doing their job to the best of their abilities. Now, when you look at things like YSL and you look at Young Thug and his attorneys, those attorneys really cared about him. And you knew that from the way they spoke about him and the way they acted with him. Mm-hmm. So I don't see that type of caring with very many defense attorneys to begin with. We saw it with Karen Reed and her attorneys. But we definitely didn't see it with Murdaugh. We didn't see it. I'm trying to think in the Daniel Penny trial, and he was not guilty by the bench trial. So I think most of them are there doing their job that they're paid to do. But every once in a while, you get some that are really really get sucked in with their clients.
Yeah, Brian Steele really was really close to all of his clients. He's very close to, and I remember he was close to Young Thug, and he would visit him, talk to him on a regular basis, and
well, they were almost cellmates.
Yeah, that's true. I remember that time where he was held in contempt. I remember that.
Yeah.
And that, watching that unfold was like, whoa! It was unexpected, and I do admire that he was willing to go literally in the cell with his client over trying to make sure he had a fair trial over what Ganville was doing.
Yeah. Big time.
And what did you think about the cross? How it went? They were yesterday, where they both went back and forth crossing the witness a couple of times. That was something that Chap pointed out that was a surprising thing.
I didn't think it was that surprising because anytime the prosecution gets to or the direct gets to ask questions, the other attorneys get the opportunity to ask about that same topic that may or may not have been covered already. So it really didn't surprise me. They did it again today, a couple times with Yoko, going back and forth on her memory of 3 a.m. and 2 a.m. So I think from the recross side, you want to get the last word in. You always want to get the last word in.
Oh, okay. So it's a tactic that they're using to make sure the person has the upper hand over the opponent.
Well, let's look at today when it happened with Yoko. The DA's office, the state, is saying that you said this happened. You woke up at 3 a.m. and you heard the dogs barking, and that's what the jury's going to remember as the last thing they hear. And then the defense is going to get up and say, no, wait, you said you didn't wake up all the way. You were still asleep, and you think it was only 3 o'clock. You never looked at a clock, and you really don't know what time it is. You just felt it was 3 a.m. Boom. Okay. And then the defense gets back up and says, yeah, but you said it was definitely 2 a.m. when you woke up. And then the defense gets back up and says, no, that's not what you said in your testimony. And it was the dog barking at 3 and not 2, correct? And she's like, yeah, it was at 3. So, like I say, her story was going back and forth, but the defense wants to make the point that her memory is bad and she never woke up, and the DA's office wants to have the last thought as this is what really happened. She said it in the grand jury when her memory was better, that she woke up at 3. So when they do that, it's not a big surprise. It's in many respects, who's got the bigger dick?
Yeah, absolutely. That's certainly.
I mean, salami sandwich.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I definitely agree. That is the reason they do it that way, and I'm glad that you explained that. Also, yeah, Judy said she has to rewatch Yoko because she missed it. She was cutting grass, in November, and yeah, I know what the grass cutting November is like. Even where I am, the cold front is going to come back soon, maybe within next week or something like that. She's up north where I am. It get very cold, and then a couple days later, it's like the summer again. It goes back and forth between a different weather. So
yeah. Good night, Elaine. You have a good weekend.
Yeah, thank you, Elaine, for coming. Good night to you. And I sleep well, Elaine. Okay, that's good. So with the trial, I remember I was this one. I watch all the trials. This one, I am really, really invested in because of the back history about the different trials. It's related to Tellus and it's related to Monica. And what are your thoughts about her being with Baker originally? It's quite wild, huh?
It's very, very wild. And when I was having lunch with Betsy, she had no idea. She asked me, how does this guy Baker fit into all this? And when I told her, she was shocked. She had watched that trial. I said, well, do you remember him going to jail for 3 years for SA on a minor? And she goes, yes. I said, who do you think the minor was? And she goes, Devin? I go, yeah. She goes, oh, my God, but he married her. And I said, yeah. That's how this is how all this intertwines. And I think really, if I was a psychologist, I would probably say Baker really effed with her head in getting her into the adult entertainment business to begin with, and totally messed her up. Joyce, 100%. I agree with you 100%. And, do I think that had anything to do with her possibly having committed murder? No, I don't. But at the same time, messed up is messed up.
Okay. Yeah, she gets, because I don't know, because Baker murdered Simontelli, and then this situation, hypothetically, if she was guilty, she could have been corrupted, influenced by him to do what she did. Now, Monday, they're going to be having some more witnesses come through in the court. That's going to be interesting to see, and we'll see if she goes in the stand. Certainly, we need you to. We would like you to go back there. Indeed.
Well, we'll see. I'll look at my schedule and look and see what's going on. What my plan is right now, tentatively, is probably I won't go back until the defense starts their case in chief. If the defense is going to put on a case in chief, then I will probably go back that day to see who they put on the stand.
Okay.
But the bald head attorney was really nice. I asked him straight up, is the ME going to testify today? And he goes, yeah, she's going to be here today.
Okay.
So they know.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that. All right. So let's see. Uh, any?
Well, let me ask you a question, or even the chat for that matter.
Okay.
Who would she call as a witness, if not herself?
Yeah, that is a good question. You're talking about the defendant, right?
Yes.
Yeah, she would call as a witness. Yeah, I wouldn't really. A chat could say what they think, but off the top of my head, I don't really know of who would she call besides herself, because I think she would feel that she would know the most about it, and no, none of her family or anybody's really there to support her anyway, and I wouldn't know who else would really be involved with it besides her in that sense.
Yeah.
And okay,
Like I said,
yeah,
they've got to have some type of evidence somewhere that we don't know about it to show her innocence. So
yeah. And Passion said, "Yeah, defense will be interesting since the son has not testified already."
he has testified
Yeah,
already.
okay, I read it wrong. Yeah, has testified already.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see like what they bring up, because the state seems like they have a lot of witnesses.
Yeah. What was interesting, that one of the slips that started to come out today was her previous medical conditions, because I thought the judge had put a kibosh on that in pretrial, and they let it slip that she was going to a doctor's to have an EEG done, which is on her brain waves.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe that's something that came out when the jury wasn't present. I don't remember exactly when it came up.
All right, now
But
Joyce said she might bring in a quote-unquote bestie or a psychiatrist, in her opinion.
Was she under the care of a psychiatrist before the murder?
She was evaluated to stand trial. There's people that like evaluated her, but not. I'm not saying it didn't happen, but I don't know if she was. Maybe the chat knows. And Passion says, I suppose they might call some kind of criminal behaviorist to rule her out and point at the son again, since there is no experts. That's what Passion said.
Yeah. Well, Passion was the Andrea, because that was one of the things that kind of the attorney and Yoko were over talking each other. And if I'm thinking right, that was the first wife of Jonathan and the mother of DeVere, and then his two sisters and what have you. Is that who Andrea is?
Yeah, the chat can clarify who that is exactly. I think so, but the chat can clarify for certain if that is what it is. And
yeah, because it sounded like to me she had said Andres or something like that. So, and if that's who you're talking about, she was out of the picture 20 years ago. So,
okay, and I go Andrea stuff here too long, and yeah, it is. Yeah, my point is I'm going to like watch as the trial continues and as it goes on to see like my thoughts about it as it's unfolding. And certainly because there's things that could happen where it could sway you in a direction for or against the defendant, and yet we will see. Basically, I would say unless they call in more witnesses from the defense, the state is going to just be bringing in people, and then the defense is going to have to be refuting it to defend their position for the client that they have.
Yeah, they don't have to really attack the witnesses' testimony as much, because most of them aren't, or I should say, most of them are just fact witnesses. Hey, this is the pictures we took. This is what we found. The only people that they have to really attack is anyone that says that she did this by doing this, or the evidence, what we found was this power tool with her fingerprints on it, or there's no witness that really ties her to the actual murder, with the exception of her saying, I hit him in the head with a wooden object, but I didn't kill him.
Right. And Joyce said, I am pretty sure she had a psychiatrist before all this happened, considering she had the CPS case against her.
Yeah, and when you look at that, that would have been several years ago. And the judge made a point of some of the stuff that was like 19 years old or 4 years old. I know one of them was 19 years old. So, or 19 years ago, and so it had no bearing on the case today. But when it came to the CPS case, that gets really interesting with the fact that she had custody of the kids over a summer by herself, or in this case with DeVere, without having anyone there to monitor it. So I would say the CPS case is almost a nothing burger, because they were all planned on moving in together anyway, and she would be with the kids full time.
And Mookie says, reiterating that it's wild, it's related to Baker, and I want to ask the defense attorney about that, but I don't want to help him. Yeah. But yeah, the Baker connection is crazy. That was a real curveball there.
Yeah, that was a curveball that I think you brought up that I did not realize. Was it 2 days ago or a day ago?
It's like 2 days.
2
like
days
2
ago?
days ago. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I never put those two people together.
Yeah, and it was a person that he mentioned at his trial when they're talking about the person that was being essayed when they were young, and then he married her, and he said, "Don't bring her up. Don't bring her up." And he's getting all defensive. It's the same person, and I was looking it up to give more research on it, and yeah, it's the woman that was his stepdaughter, and then he essayed her when she was a kid, a teenager, and then he married her when he got out, and I'm sure that really messed her mind up.
Yeah, and the other part that is absolutely hilarious to me, and I don't know how you guys feel about it, but the Yoko and Yoko's boyfriend knew her as Nikki. Well, Nikki was her adult actress name. Why would they know her as Nikki and not Devin?
Right.
Is beyond.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it really... Another plot twist to that is the Telus... It's like the same courtroom-looking courtroom like where the Telus trial happened, and it's the same attorneys at the same time. So that was another part to sprinkle some seasoning on it. So it's like two past trials, like a sequel to it in some sort of sense.
Well, my guess is a lot of the courtrooms look alike.
Yeah.
In that building, because basically they're all on certain floors and what have you. Some may be bigger than others, but my guess is everything on the 14th floor looks exactly like the courtroom next to it. I think there were 5 or 6 courtrooms on that floor.
Right.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, the courtroom that was next to our courtroom is called MAT or MAP or something like that. And what that is, it's people that are in halfway houses. They have to come to court and tell the judge what they've been doing. And the judge asks them, is there anything else you need? Can the court help you with anything? Or, your financial situation, is it your living situation? Is everything going as we had planned out, when you were released out of custody originally? And those people then eventually will get released onto full probation in their own homes. and I was talking to a guy at like 8:30 that was in part of that program, and he was telling me about his court stuff because I asked him.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Now, there's no. Do you hear other trials happening when you're in the hallway or not? If you know.
No, no,
Okay.
no. The I think really for the most part, um, the when the people leave the courtroom, they're either with the other people that they were with talking about. Now, had I gone to um, a place to eat outside of the courthouse, I might have heard other conversations about other cases, but I we didn't have a lot of time to do that today.
Okay. And this is kind of hard to describe, but uh, what was? Did it smell like a post office in there, or like what was it? What did it smell like in there?
Oh, it was clean. It was nice. It was. I had on a long sleeve shirt and jeans, and there were times that I almost got a little bit chilly. The AC was blowing so nice, but it's clean. There's some wood in there to soften up the walls. There are different layers of wood on the walls to give it a nice look, but it's definitely not sterile by any stretch.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, and that's pretty cool. I Yeah, I would think that it looks like it would be a pleasant place, and I didn't realize like it has air conditioning in there. That's good. It had air conditioning.
Oh yeah, it's a desert out there. Every place has air conditioning.
Yeah, I remember over at the Karen retrial, there was allegedly no air conditioning in there, and people were getting hot, something like that. I'm like, wow, that just. I was thinking, I guess some courtrooms don't have air conditioning.
Well, this courthouse is only about probably 12 years old now, and there was a lot of lawsuits involved with the contractors and the city and not getting paid and what have you. So the courthouse itself is fairly modern. The building where they used to have it in was an old building, um, but this is a new modern building.
That's good to know. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, older buildings, like even like where I've done things with like houses and stuff where I am, and like some of the older houses didn't have air conditioning in them, and they had to like they put a sometimes they'll put a air conditioning unit in the window because some places like in the past they had no air conditionings, they just had fans.
Yeah, and the detention center in Clark County is right next to the new courthouse, and they have underground tunnels where they take the inmates there underneath the tunnel and into the courtrooms that way. So there's no driving them around Vegas or anything like that.
Interesting. Yeah, and I would assume like there's a for people. So the place has like a jail in it. It's not a prison. It's like a jail in it to hold people that get like.
No, it's its own separate building. It's like a half a block away. The jailhouse.
I always thought it was in the
It,
same place for some reason.
it has a tunnel underneath from one building to the next.
Interesting.
But the jail is like 8 or 9 stories tall.
Interesting. Okay, so it's like this. That's really like some advanced stuff there. It's the underground tunnel that they go through to the other building.
Correct.
That's interesting. Well, where I am, you can't really have an underground place because of the swampiness. You would need a pump. My great grandfather built houses here with basements with a pump in it, but that's how you would have an underground place like in this type of region. But there, over there, it has an underground tunnel. I never would have thought of that. That's quite creative of them.
Well, Las Vegas is going to end up being Elon Musk's dream for his boring company underground, because they're going to be boring underneath all the casinos in that area to make rail passage, like an electric type train or something like that, so that you will be traveling underground for doing that.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So I
Yeah,
didn't know.
yeah. We already have Tesla already has from the Las Vegas Convention Center to a couple of the hotels underground driving, where you have a Tesla SUV and you get in like a taxi, and they drive you underground from the convention center to a hotel casino.
I never thought of that. I didn't know that they're doing that over there in Vegas. So, are was it possible to get, if carbon monoxide is the right word, is could that happen in one of those tunnels because it's enclosed?
No, because they are using Teslas. They're battery operated.
Okay, so they're electric vehicles that are doing this.
Yes, and on Passion's comment, it really is not geologically troubling, or I should say, it is very geologically troubling because Las Vegas has a lot of fault lines.
The fault lines. Yeah.
Yeah, and then that's why we don't have a above ground rail system, because that's what a lot of people wanted from the airport to the different, one downtown to the hotels that are downtown in old Las Vegas. They would want one that goes from the lower end of Las Vegas Boulevard to the north end of Las Vegas Boulevard. Some want one that will go from the airport down to Henderson, one that would extend out to somewhere on the west or northwest or southwest side, which is what Atlanta has. It's their 5-star or 5-point system. But they're doing this underground, not above ground.
Thanks. I learned something new. Yeah, and my friend Doe. Okay, Doe. So like what Moki said, this is our friend Michael from our child chat group. We watch trials, and he went to the court. The courthouse is the right word. He went to the courthouse today and saw the trial in person, and he was in the audience, and he's telling us about his tale of what it was like, and we have questions for him. So that is, and Doe says hello to Michael. That's good.
Yep. Hey, Doe.
And let's see.
Howdy,
Yeah,
Doe.
yeah, howdy. The yeah, I like to tell people howdy. Great, just great. Yeah, it's fine. The, the so with the underground. So is the underground tunnels? It's supposed to be quicker than above ground. Do you think?
Yes, because there's no traffic.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. I mean, I guess if some nuclear war happened, they could still have people go back and forth underground. Then they could do that.
Until a building falls on them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Using Teslas for moving through tunnels as if they were on a different planet. Yeah, on my planet they do stuff like that. It looks like Earth is coming up with their own version of it. The I've thought about this before, and hundreds of years from now, or even longer, if they ever go to other planets and they have trials in other planets, that would something that is quite mind-boggling, because it was mind-boggling for people to like go to this part of the planet, and then if they did trials in some other part, in some other planet, as the time goes on or advances, whenever they achieve that point, that will be interesting to see what kind of technology they have in that time period in the future.
Yeah. Well, Passion, if you think about it, the lunar rover that they put on the moon, that was an electric vehicle. It wasn't a Tesla, but it was still electric.
Yeah, yeah. The electric vehicles, I think with electric vehicles, it is interesting concept where now if a hurricane hit a place in those hurricane zones, it would kind of have some redundancy to it if they were using it solely alone. But this, we'll see how it goes with this experiment that they're doing with the underground tunnels, because Monkey says it would be great to have a train or something go from the airport to Strip, Fairmont, Surmland to Henderson. Now you know China has lots of trains and they're very advanced, and our trains are from still in the 1800s. So that is something we're a little bit behind on, in my opinion, about the trains.
Yeah. Well, Moki, the problem was is that that was really put out there back in the late 90s, and it was defeated because the taxi cab drivers had a bunch of money behind them and paid off the politicians. And I don't have a problem saying that because that is exactly what happened. And that's why we don't have that today, because all that infrastructure could have been put in. Now, when it comes to having modern trains, we're currently putting in a high-speed train between Las Vegas and Rancho Cucamonga that will then go north up towards San Francisco somewhere eventually. But the goal is it will be high-speed, like your Chinese high-speed trains. It'll be 200 plus miles an hour. But the problem is who wants to go to Rancho Cucamonga when you have to get on another train that travels at regular speed? So now you're going to spend another hour, hour and a half, 2 hours trying to get to the west side of LA. So I don't know how big of a hit that's going to be. But they're building it now. They're putting in the rail depot here in Las Vegas. They are putting in the rail system itself out in the desert, and it's going to go follow I-15.
Wow. Yeah, I think that the politician lobbyist had something to do with it because that definitely would be a factor in it. That happens a lot, and yeah, but I hope that they at some point advance the train systems. I mean, I like the retro trains that we have. Now there are passenger trains that are more advanced in the 1800s, but like a lot of our cargo trains and stuff are much outdated compared to other places. But us, it would be the private companies doing it with the different innovations that they do. Now, with solar, I know solar could, in areas where there's lots of sun, where it'll be more practical. Because in Texas, there was an incident where all the power went out when they used it in a certain area during a winter. But like over out west, if they had a solar powered train, I guess hypothetically it would be interesting to see. It probably would have like unlimited energy hypothetically.
Hypothetically,
Yeah.
you know, people were like, solar power is going to be the end all for everything, and we'll never need anything else again. And the same thing with the windmills, and that just has not come to pass. As a matter of fact, the solar farm outside of Las Vegas is getting shut down because it's just not profitable or feasible as a method to supply energy to Henderson, Boulder City, and Las Vegas.
Okay. And okay, thank you. So yeah, because at some point if something's not working right, they could do the thing that works correctly in the region that it is operating in. So do you agree over there? I would say in the Strip, I've not been out there personally, but I would say out there would be issues with traffic. So you think that there's lots of traffic out there in the Strip?
Oh, the traffic is packed on traffic. I mean, just to go, say, 3 miles, you're looking at close to 45 minutes.
Okay. 45 minutes. Yeah, that is certainly packed. Absolutely.
And that's only cars, because people are not allowed to cross Las Vegas Boulevard going east-west. We now have walkways that go above the street for them to cross on.
Okay.
Yeah, everything is fenced off, so it's just nothing but cars.
Nothing but cars. Yeah, it's basically a sea of cars that just go on endlessly, and it's like probably very congested too. I would say probably.
Yes, except during COVID. When COVID hit and they shut down all that, I took my car up and down Las Vegas Boulevard. Never saw another person or car out there.
It,
It was a ghost town.
oh wow! That reminds me of the apocalyptic scenarios if a pandemic really hit us hard, and if, well, if this didn't happen in our timeline, but it would be so bad where people would society would just go downhill and would just go into chaos and it would be deserted. So one feature it looks like from that theory was that it was just completely deserted. Yeah, that had to be eerie for you to see that there is no cars there, and there usually are cars during that time.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not something you'd ever think you'd see, for sure.
Yeah. And Miss Judy says, I got something to share with Alien about that, Moki. Okay, Judy, you could share it whenever you'd like, or email me if you want. And the aliens reveal themselves and this energy. Moki and I talk about that. Yes, absolutely. And Moki says, during the COVID, the strip was very much like a dystopian novel. Yeah, because it seems like in like a dystopian novel, you would have like a deserted ghost town and things. So everything was closed, right?
Everything was closed.
Yeah.
There was no businesses open on Las Vegas Boulevard.
Yeah, and Passion said, I bet they won't replicate that what we were talking about before in the Grand Theft Auto. Yeah, that was yeah, Passion. That was funny. I've played that game before a couple years ago. There's a new one coming out, but I've not played the new one yet. I think the new one, some people said it come out. I'm not quite certain, but yeah, that was funny. All right, and Judy says, yeah, me and my neighbors saw stuff. I saw lights outside my bathroom window and tree. There are 3 doors down, something light in the sky doing weird maneuvers. Oh yeah, Judy, that is certainly something a lot of people have seen in the UFO community, where things in the sky like that. I remember when I was little, they were telling me, some neighbors were telling me there is this thing in the sky that was making these strange movements and like drawing something in the sky that was kind of hard to describe, but they saw some sort of UFO activity. So yeah, that's very interesting. Thank you for sharing with us. I like to know all about it. And the Joy says, Mom and I are smart. I didn't know what dystopian novel is. Oh, yeah, the dystopian is like, say there's like an ideal society, like a utopian society, and then what happens is it actually becomes the opposite. It comes into this like a disturbing society that's macabre, that's not ideal, but it was supposed to be utopian. Yeah, that's basically what it is. And yeah. Dystopian is end of the world fiction. Lots of people have seen the same. Yeah, so yeah, Judy, you're not alone. Lots of people have seen these UFO sightings, and throughout centuries, whatever they are, and people have different theories about what they are, and I respect all of them. And back in ancient times, there was UFO sightings before modern technology. In this country, before we came here, there's for sightings. So it's nothing new, whatever it is. And yeah, you're not alone. There's many things that happened. And Judy said, seen lights and window 2 nights in a row. Yeah, yeah. They
yeah.
believe it. Go on.
Yeah, it's funny, Judy, because just before COVID hit, we were having a lot of people seeing lights in the sky and things like that in Las Vegas over downtown area. As it turned out, the police had just started using drones, and they didn't bother to let anyone know. So they were seeing, all these drones really in the sky above the highways and above the businesses and what have you. And they'd zip around town because they were programmed to go in different areas. And the people here had no idea, and they were calling it in to the police and the Air Force.
Okay, thank you. And there was certainly, I think last year, or probably, there was the drone episodes, epidemic going on, where there are drones all over the whole country, swarming everywhere. That was very bizarre, and there are orbs, which are allegedly some sort of extraterrestrial thing, or it's a phenomenon they can't completely explain. They're that are out there in the sky. The plasmoids, they're called, and there's actually these drones that are going up to it to try to like square up with it, and then like the little drone falls out the sky because the orb thing took it down. But we don't know how it took it down, but it just kind of fell out the sky. So that was something really crazy. Imagine if it was some sort of they're trying to combat some alien thing, but they're so small. It's much smaller than what we thought. But yeah, there's certainly a lots of unexplained things in the sky, and some things are drones. Some things are man-made. For instance, there was a thing where back in the 1800s they had so many flying machines people were making where they thought they were UFOs, but some of them were probably UFOs in my opinion, but some of them were also things people were creating. That was a really cool time period where people were like starting to tinker with this type of technology we have. But yes, I do believe in UFOs personally and things like that, but I also believe there's human things that we created that are also up in the sky that they may be not telling us, or there might be drones too, you know. So I think there's truth in both of them, in my opinion. All right, and Joy says, I was going to say drones. We always have luxury of having able one or two in the neighborhood. Gotta love the police choppers. And Smokey says, Nevada is mostly federal land, and there is a lot of weird secret-ish in a desert. Yeah, in the desert, I believe she told me it was public property. I mean, government, I like to say government property, and there is so many things out there in the landscape where they do experiments and stuff there, and allegedly a lot of UFOs. So, yeah, I I am quite confident that there's unexplained things that they're doing. There's unexplained maybe UFO sightings that are happening, or both, out there that are quite mysterious. Now, there is allegedly Rome. They saw UFOs in Rome. In the Bible times, they saw things in the sky. So it was before it predates our modern technology that we have, where people didn't have flying things until recently. So,
yeah, but you read a lot about you go back 20 years or 25 years, and all these triangular shaped UFOs that people were seeing, especially California, Utah, Nevada, North Dakota, South Dakota. Well, those were the F-117As while they were still in prototypes.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
The
I think that's Project Blue Book, Moki, not Blue Beam.
there's something called Project Bluebeam where it's a conspiracy theory. There was this alien invasion, this staged alleged alien invasion that they're going to stage with some sort of projector technology, where they're going to, some people say they're going to fake the return of Christ or different people like that, and they're going to fake a UFO invasion, and then this, either two things happen. Either they create some global government that's nefarious to combat it, or these real aliens come to try to save the day, and then it becomes a bad situation. So that is a theory that is floating around, or at least in a very other sense besides that theory, which I think that's very possible. I think that there's truth to. There's this, they might fake it for some reason to justify some sort of stronger control over society, to implement some sort of order that they want, or maybe some sort of social experiment of control of some kind.
Okay.
Right.
I did not know that.
And yeah, and there's the AI. Oh, I said that wrong. The 3-eye atlas that's in the sky, and the 3-eye atlas is this thing where it will, it's out there in our solar system, and there's theories that it could be some sort of alien craft, or it's part of a plot by the people here to try to make people think there's something out there that's coming towards our planet, so they can justify something else, some agenda they want. Like, oh, we have to do all this authoritarian stuff to protect people from this thing coming from space. I mean, you could even get an asteroid heading towards Earth or something and just justify something like that. I mean, even a natural disaster it could be. It could be a couple of ways that you could just, the concept of them staging something to implement a system that they want on the people is the main point of the theory. And let's see, I know nothing is, I'm okay with that, no offense. Yeah, and everybody is right to their opinions about whatever, it's an open discussion. And people can agree or disagree, it's all good. And Moki said a question. Personally, I am so drawn the rabbit hole of UFOs, I don't know what to believe anymore because of Project Bluebeam or the politicians who are speaking out now being used. Moki, we wouldn't really know for certain, and that's good that you're concerned about that. I think that they would probably be, hypothetically, either intentionally or unintentionally, being used as a ploy to justify the alien Project Bluebeam. It'll either aid it and they're doing it unintentionally, or they're doing it on purpose, and or they're going to be compromised to join in with it. Because all of a sudden they always said that there is no aliens, that they don't exist, and then all of a sudden they're saying they do exist. So they're either using it as opportunity to justify something and real aliens are involved, or that all of a sudden they are saying that it is true because they can't hide it anymore, but they're still going to use it for this alleged Project Bluebeam event to happen. Because you get to see the seeds are being planted, Moki. A lot of it's planting seeds. You know, you have the seeds of the government talking about aliens and exposing it to the public, right? Because they're trying to help the people. So the government that oppressed the information about them, whatever they are, if they're real or not, is now all of a sudden going to fix the problems that they started and going to say, hey, we're the ones to help save you all. So whenever they do come, or whenever they put a projector in the sky, whatever they do, if it's Project Bluebeam or not, they're going to be the ones to save the day, and they're going to be the champions of it. So it's kind of like in other countries, they'll be the ones to start a problem, and then they're the ones to go fix it. But the source is from the same thing. It's kind of like if you flip a coin, and either way you flip it, you're going to get the same thing because they're part of the same coin, whatever side you flip. So yeah, I don't know for certain, but very possible, and it's something to be aware of. Okay, be aware of it. Okay, they're saying Atlas is Project Bluebeam. It probably is. It probably is, or at least a prototype of it. And Loki said it's a fake alien invasion to bring on the NWO, and which is New World Order. That's what that means. And then the good aliens are brought in to defeat the fake aliens, and we all live happily ever after. And, well, it is raining. What happens last night? Light rain. Okay, Judy. And Moki also says, happily ever after with the one world order in charge. That is exactly right. It's kind of like the ideas of utopia, but the utopia just turns into like a dystopia. But we will see how it all works out with that, because people have different opinions about aliens. Some people think that they're going to help. Some people think that they're going to cause a problem. I don't know. So just like with people, there's good and bad people out there. I just think the same thing may be true with aliens. There might be good and bad ones, and I understand that some of them could be from some other perspective. Some could be angels from some core religious point of view, or not good angels. That's another way to view them, or whatever they are. Yeah, I just think I would be very leery because I'm an alien myself. There's good and bad ones, so I would hope the best good people, good aliens, if they do come here, are going to help us and not try to do something not right to us. And Passion says, apparently a few lampshade reflections to, I vaguely recall, some kind of TV special. Oh, okay, Passion. And Joyce is watching her movie. Oh, yeah. And yeah, so that is the alien theory. And I'm glad that is at least being talked about and people are having discussions about it, because before it was not taken seriously, but now people are more talking about it, even if it isn't true or people don't believe it, because it needs to be discussed. Nobody should be censoring anything. All right. Yeah, scared. Yeah. And Moki says, Michael, I'm considering going with you, but I do already have family commitments, so we will have to play it by ear. That's what Moki says to you.
That's fine. We can do that.
And Moki says, Michael, let me know when you are thinking of going, she said.
I can do that.
All right, good. All right. And I like the different, as we're talking about the different alien species that are allegedly out there. That was something intriguing to we're discussing that with Moki, because there are some that I wasn't even completely aware of, and Passion said Michael and Moki a bunch. So with uh, Moki and Michael, they both are in the same area. So, and there's this, and that is the reason why they are communicating about this trial, because there's a trial going on in their city and they're close by each other, so they're able to go and maybe see it together. Where, like, say we all are scattered across the world, and this is so cool to have two people from the show to be in close proximity to see a trial. So yeah, that is the explanation, Passion. So yeah, they are a cool bunch, indeed, and they make a great team. So I'm, as I said, Michael, I really am glad that you went and you documented what you saw. This is so cool that we get to see it behind the scenes of like what happened, and you took action. That is fantastic, and also the circumstances were all put together where it was in your city, and right in your region, and everything. The dots all fell into place over it.
Oh, I appreciate that. Like I say, I enjoyed it. So
Yes, and Passion said, I'm just throwing out potential band names early. Got to get those percentages, profits. Yeah, and that is a good name. Michael and Moki Bunch. That is a good name for them as a band. I agree. And I was giving just context about the fascination of their band origin. That's what I was telling you. And yeah, so that is Moki and Michael's band name right there. Yeah, the bunch. Very, very good marketing, Passion. Glad that you're here with us. So yeah, hey, we are the Mokies. Okay, so Miss Judy said the Mokies. That's another band name. Facts. Oh, and Joyce said I can get my $50 back now. Hilarious. And that's what Joyce was saying. Scared. All right. Let's see. Let's look up here. And we got that. All right. Now, let's see. Does chat have any questions for Michael about anything? We'll see if they have anything to say. And yeah, I think it is. The technology has really advanced in a good way that we're able to watch trials and communicate on this platform like this. You know, where that's very a great innovation of humanity and people working together. Right? Like he says, people say we Moki around, but we're too busy singing. I like that. I like that tagline. Facts. Yeah, Alien is he is a little bit lost, but he's enjoying the conversation, even if it's in a different context. Yeah. So it's a learning experience for me, indeed. All right, so looks like there isn't the any more questions. And all right, so okay, Michael, you have anything else you want to say?
I am good. Thank you for having me on your show.
Oh, you're welcome. And it's
Appreciate it.
nice talking to you, on the phone, like this on the show. And I really thank you for coming on. And I know it could be some people, it's like being a hot seat. So I'm glad that you came on the show and told us about everything. It's been an excellent conversation with you.
Oh, thank you. Enjoyed it.
Okay, bye.
All right. Bye.
All right. Oh, I know about the Monkees. Moki? Yeah, I know about that band. Oh, shout out to Michael. It is a great to have him on the show. He did excellent in his call. All right. Let's go here to this way and just put this other window up. Then I'm going to have to put this other window here. Cheers much to Michael. You earned respect. I am out, y'all. Talk later. Okay, Joyce, thank you for hanging out with us. It was a pleasure having you and chat with us tonight. Okay. Okay. Yay! That spaceship went over his head. Yeah. Yeah, I know about the Monkees. I I don't know much about them, but I've heard their music before and I know what it is. Whoa. We've been live for quite a while. Wow. I didn't know that. That's insane. I'll talk about all right. Oh, you're 70% going to bed. Yeah. We've been live for 3 hours. I didn't know that. Yeah, claps for Michael. All right. Excellent. So, I'll tell you all about the Monkees. All right. Which I know about the Monkees, but we're going to do a little recap about them. Because I don't know everything about them. I know about them. So, the Monkees were a band created for a comedy television series. I know also about the Beach Boys. Charles Manson was trying to emulate them, and he had some feuding with them. All right, the Monkees were a band created for a comedy television series of the same name, which aired in 1966 and 1968. The original members were Mickey Dolenz, Michael Nesmith, and Peter Tork, and Davy Jones. All right, key factors about the band. Hits. The Monkees are known for numerous hit songs, including the All right. And okay, Moki, good night to you, Moki. Thank you for coming to the show and your questions. It's been a pleasure. Okay. And Passion said, if you go a cappella, I suggest an album, Trial Procedure. If you go heavy metal, try going for Juror's Perspective, Angry in My Lonely Rectangle. Great. All right, and key factors about the band hits. The Monkees are known for numerous hit songs, including I'm a Believer, Last Train, Clarksville, and Dreamland Believer. All right. origin. Initially, the band was a prefab band whose music was primarily provided by studio musicians. However, the members eventually gained control over the music production, becoming a genuine performing band. Legacy, the TV show won 2 Emmy Awards, and the band sold more than 75 million records worldwide, making them one of the most successful groups in the 60s. And see this, the right here. I'll be right back in just a moment. Sauce was here earlier. He must have left earlier in the stream. Okay, and the original initial band was a prefab band known for music was primarily provided by studio musicians. However, the members eventually gained control over the music production, becoming a genuine performing band. Legacy, the TV show won the Emmy Award, and the band sold more than 75 million records worldwide, making them one of the most successful groups in the 60s. Current status, Mickey Dolenz is the last surviving member of the group and continues to perform the Monkees music tour. And what is their music style? Let's see. What is that about? The Monkees music style best described as pop rock, a blend that evolved over time to incorporate the elements of bubblegum pop, psychedelic rock, and country rock. Their sounds evolved through district phases. Early years in 1966 and 1967, initial hits were crafted by Passion says, greatest show on earth. I remember the theme song. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Their show evolved through distinct phases. Early years, 1966 to 67, the initial hits were crafted by professional songwriters like Neil Diamond and Carole King. The studio musicians this era produced catchy, upbeat tunes, often categorized by bubblegum pop or simple melodic pop rock, as featured in television show. Creative control in 1967 onwards, the band members fought for and won the right to write their own songs and play their own instruments. This led to albums like Headquarters, the Pisces, Aquarius, Capricorn, and Jones LT, which showcased more authentic rock style with elements of folk rock, garage rock, and early use of synthesizers. Later experiments in the later years, the band experimented further with Michael Nesmith pioneering the country rock genre, and the band exploring more complex psychedelic sounds, particularly on the soundtrack for their 1968 film, The Head. Interesting. Yeah, it reminds you of like like beach. I know it's like the Beach Boys, but like people would play on those beaches back then. That's what it reminds me of. Okay, so that's pretty cool. Michael said the band members had to learn how to play their instruments as they did not know how when the show initially started. Oh, okay, yeah. There was a learning curve to it. Oh, yeah. And they had the perseverance. Let's do this. All right, some more context about this is the monkeys, the Partridge Family, etc. Okay, thanks. This popular American music sitcom aired at NBC for 2 seasons from September 12, 1966 to March 25, 1968. There are 58 episodes. Now, the premise of it, the series followed the humorous adventures of Mickey Dolenz, Michael Nesmith, Peter Tork, and Jones, and we talk about that. Production and backlash. Okay. While a significant pop culture phenomenon, the show focused on criticism when it was revealed that Monkeys were initially manufactured band did not play instruments on their early studio recordings. Following this backlash, the internal issues, the show was revamped for its second season, allowing the band more creative control over their music, which adapted the counterculture style. One thing we can all agree on: Mickey Dolen's daughter was hot. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Okay, let's see their home. The home shared by four band members. The television show was quirky two-story beach house located in Malibu, California. I had a lot of fun today, Judy. She said I had a lot of fun, Judy. Well, that's cool. That's cool. But yeah, because she said it was excellent. Yeah. Eclectic interior. The interior of the house was famously unconventional and mood reflecting the counterculture aesthetic of the 60s. It featured a spiral staircase, an old fashioned telephone booth, often used as an actual phone booth prop, and various mismatched, colorful furniture. The living area was open plain, leading directly into the kitchen area. Slapstick design. The house was designed to facilitate the show's physical slapstick comedy. For example, the characters would often slide down the spiral staircase banister or enter and exit through unexpected windows and doors. Headquarters. The sign promoted prominent feature was large, brightly colored sign on the exterior that read "Monkeys are Monkeys headquarters," often with cheeky "Beware of the monkeys" added to their small signs. Bedrooms. The house had two main bedrooms. One downstairs shared Davy, Peter, and the upstairs shared Mickey and Mike. The same basic set was often redressed and reused for both rooms in production. Alright, film locations. While the show portrayed home as a real house on the beach, most of the scenes were filmed on sand stage with different locations used for exterior shots, interior sets. The primary interior scenes were filmed at Screen Gems Studios in Hollywood, California. Exterior shots. The exterior shots of the real beach house were only used occasionally for establishing shots, mainly in the pilot episode of the actual house used one added thing. Okay. used, the pilot was likely located in San Diego and is thought to be torn down now. The house featured in the opening creates an establishing shots was real house in Malibu and was later destroyed by a wildfire in the 70s. In 1970 to be exact. Yeah, those wildfires out west can be pretty scary. Outdoor scene. The outdoor and beach scenes were filmed in Westward Beach near Point Dume, Malibu, and the Warner Brothers Ranch, back lot in Burbank. The address of the house varied in the show due to continually errors, ruling out gags, but most frequently mentioned was 1334 North Beechwood Drive, Hollywood, California. Judy says yes. Maroon has drones and cops' lights. A saw was probably some strong flashing, searching for someone. Nearby probe saw the drone. Ah, okay, understood. That said, I do believe that there are orbs and UFO sightings that are out there that are legitimate, and others are from things from Earth as well. All right, good night, Judy. Okay. Curious about the Beach Boys. All right, the Beach Boys, an iconic American rock band formed in Hawthorne, California. In 1961, known for their defining California sound and their complex, initiative vocal harmonies, they are one of the most commercially successful, influential bands in a pop rock history. Aspects of the Beach Boys: Brian Wilson, keyboards, bass, vocals, songwriter, producer, the creative genius and mastermind behind the band's sound, Dennis Wilson. The drum vocals, Brian's middle brother and the only avid surfer in the group. Carl Wilson, lead singer, vocals, Brian's youngest brother, who became the band's de facto musical director on stage as Brian redirected from touring. Mike Love, lead vocals, lyrics, and saxophone. The Wilson cousins, co-writer of many hits and a primarily lead vocalist on many early fast-paced songs. Al Jardin, a high school friend of Brian's who briefly left early on but soon returned as a core member. Music evolution: surf rock and California sound in the early 60s. This music was defined by upbeat, fun songs about the Southern California youth culture, surfing cars, and romance. Hits Surfin' Safari and Surfin' USA established a signature sound incorporated in the rhythm of the 50s rock and roll. Sophisticated vocal harmonies, innovative pop, psychedelia under Brian Wilson. Artistic vision of the music became more sophisticated, introspective from the mid 1960s onward. The landmark album Pet Sounds '66 utilized complex arrangements, unconventional music instruments, and orchestral elements, pioneering the use of the studio as instrument, inspiring act like the Beatles, the hit song Good Vibration '66 further showcased modular recording techniques and psychedelic sounds becoming a masterpiece of rock music. They sold over 1 million records worldwide, had 36 40 singles. US More and other American bands, Pet Sounds, Good Vibrations, are consecutively ranked among the greatest and most influential works in popular music history. The founding members were introduced to Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in '88. And despite international conflicts, lawsuits, and tragic deaths of Dennis, 83, and Carl, 98 Wilson, and their music continue to have lasting impact across generations. All right, so that is pretty cool, quite intriguing. That was the one Charles Manson was getting involved. Something he was trying to get involved with them, interested in their tunes. And you know, he was a not case, of course, but yeah, he was into music in the very beginning. All right, okay. I want to check over here. Alright, super chats on deck. Let's see what that was about. We're here. Elaine said earlier, love you toots. And that was nice to her. Shout out to her for that. Always appreciate the kind compliments. That was funny. Alright, so at this point, we checking this. All right, for the night we are done. For the evening, the stream is complete. So I'll be on tomorrow evening. I want to thank you all for being here and hanging out with us. It was nice to have Michael on the show tonight. I appreciate all of you and thank you for the support and peace.